Thank you. Okay, welcome to the August 28th, 2025 meeting of the Flathead Reservation Water Management Board. And we'll take a look at the agenda. Any comments, questions, or concerns about the agenda? My only comment at this point is I hope we can get done earlier than 5:30. I won't set a time, but that'd be my desire.
Mr. Chairman, I will try to talk fast.
Yeah, so what else we got? We got to approve the agenda yet, so board members.
Small modification on the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
We have, I'd like to add a 1.7 in introduction for FKC intern Stephen Statham. We did not know he's gonna be here today, until a little later, and, I'd like to take advantage.
Okay,
He's in front of you.
sounds good. If he has time to get away from his work. Anything else, board members? George,
I'll make a move to adopt the agenda as modified.
motion to approve the agenda by Roger,
I'll second.
second by George. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Opening prayer. George, you want to give us an opening prayer, please?
Okay, say it right here. Dear Lord, just do, thank you for this day. For the moisture we're seeing outside, a little cooler weather. I know we all appreciate it. Help us to work together today, the board and the staff. Treat each other kindly and try to reach wise, careful decisions on the matters that we have at hand, and be with us all as we travel home, protect us and guide us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, George.
Amen.
Okay, as always, meeting minutes of the board are at www.frwmb.gov for those that are interested. So attendance, please.
Clayton Mack,
Here.
Roger Noble,
Here.
Ken Pitt,
Here.
George McLeod,
Here.
and Georgia Sneed Bassett.
Very good. And we still don't have a federal appointee, so hopefully we can, did anybody happen to touch base? Did we happen to touch base with the feds on that? I just don't remember. We talked about it last time, but I don't know where they're at with that, so.
They do have a BI person placed. I can't remember her name right now. Our industry flow members have to go through her.
That's what I was trying to figure out, was who the regional contact would be. We were, at the last meeting, we talked about drafting a letter and sending it to the regional contact,
Okay,
but I'm not quite sure who that'd be, so maybe I'll connect with George and see if you can figure it out.
still a work in progress, yeah, okay. Well, or just the travel office, and, because I know that they are working with a superintendent at Fort Hall, but the regional office is still Portland, so it might be just getting a hold of the regional office and say, what's up?
Exactly that.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. All right, any potential conflicts of interest after looking at the agenda, George?
No.
And
No.
Roger?
No.
None for myself. All right, thank you. Okay, meeting minutes from 8/14/25, please. Approve the meeting minutes when you're ready, unless there's any comments.
Move to approve the August 14th minutes.
Motion by Ken,
Second.
second by Roger, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There's none, you are approved. Public comment for items not on the, agenda. Oh, we got a 1.7, forgot, okay. So, 1.7,
All right. Get Stephen over here. We're glad to have him join up as an intern from SKC. Stephen, please do introduce yourself and let them know a little about yourself.
Sure. Hello, everyone. So I'm Stephen Statham. I am an undergraduate at SKC, Salish Community College. I'm in the hydrology and computer science program. And yeah, I'm interning here for a few weeks as a part of the Project Success program at SKC. It's managed by our career services. It enables students like myself to go get involved with businesses or organizations associated with our respective fields that we're studying. So I'm happy to be here. I'm learning a lot. It's been a lot of fun so far.
I'm sure we'll be able to keep you busy, so we'll go around just a quick introduction. Hello, Stephen. So Stephen, had the pleasure of having Stephen in class here last winter.
This last one, yeah,
Last winter, right? Yeah, so welcome. Thank you, Stephen.
thank you.
I'm Roger Noble. I think we met the other day.
Yep.
So, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Ethan Mace, we talked to.
I hope so.
I'm Haley Franson, I'm Ford's legal counsel. I'm Rhonda, we met.
He gets sick of maze.
Yeah.
George McLeod and took Dustin on snow surveys last winter.
Oh,
So Blackdale.
Stephen, we call him Dustin.
Oh, Stephen, sorry. I'll pick that one up. Sorry. That was a lot of fun.
I'm Ken and Stephen was in my water law class. If I recall, didn't you have somewhat of a checkered past? I mean, like working on the docks in Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, previously to coming back to school, I've done, out of high school, I did 2 years with the Division of Fire here. And then I did live over in Seattle for a while, and I worked at a boatyard company. And I started outside working on boats, a lot of composite work. And then I worked my way into the office, HR, accounting, safety officer. And then the last few years I was there, I was our purchasing manager.
All right, very good. And actually, we had a couple in the back row back here, so you might want to just.
So I'm Nick Jackson, this is Sarah Harris, we're with Wilson Architecture and Design, we are. Reservation Water Management Board to look at conditioning and building facility organization.
Wonderful. Very good. Anything else? Welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'll just chime in. Stephen showed a great aptitude for the work that we do here, and it's been a real pleasure having you. So thank you.
Thank you. Good, super. Thanks, Stephen. See you around.
I'll be right over here.
All right. All right. Thank you. Public comments not on the agenda, so we don't have any members of the public here in the audience. Anybody online?
No members of the public contact.
No members of the public online, so no public comment pursuant to that at this time. All right, item 3, office building project planning updates. So come on down. Welcome, guys. How are you?
Very well, thank you very much, and thank you for having us here today.
Yeah.
So we do have a resi that we were hoping to share, and then we have a couple of handouts. The handouts are pieces that are in the presentation too, so it's no new information that we will hand out while we're here, then is in the presentation. So I think if you just hit present, I think everyone knows who we are by now, and you will see us again. So Luke Jackson, Sarah Harris, from those songs.
So with your presentation, you'll do that, so I'm assuming we want some dialogue here. So
Yes.
I'm assuming you'll have some questions for us.
Absolutely.
And feel free, board members, if you have questions, and Ethan, if you or staff have any points to make, please feel free.
Sure, thank you. And are you guys comfortable? We can do cheers and drop that, or you can be however you want. There's a little button that makes it go up and down, depending just.
This will help us go faster. I heard you guys wanted to get to 5:30, so let's.
Yeah, no chairs, no chairs, no.
Yeah, so if you go ahead to present, then it'll, and then I'll just say like next slide, and it should just, if you hit the cursor, like the right cursor or the down cursor, it'll move to the next one.
Okay.
So today's topics, we were gonna touch on timeline, and then go into some program and adjacency diagrams, and then talk through next steps. So we'll use, what you will see with us every time we come to meet with you is that we will touch on, time frame, like where we're at and where we're going. We will revisit the previous piece that we all met about, because there were some little tweaks to it from feedback that we got last time. And then we'll dive into more of the kind of meat of today's presentation, and then kind of talk through next steps. So we can go ahead, next slide, please. So speaking about timelines, so this is the roadmap that you've seen a bunch of times, and if you hit next slide, we'll zoom in a little bit. So where we're at today is that we are bringing some building diagrams to review with you today. Previously, we did. Oh, it's not showing up. So, at the top left there, you can see the building program. That's what we discussed last time, and we're going to touch on that a little bit this time. In the top right corner is the adjacency diagrams that we'll be looking at today. And then the, our kind of immediate next step is that we're hoping to get a meeting together with at least the building committee on the week of, sometime in the week of September 8th. It could probably just be an online meeting, but at that time, we will be developing, before that time, we'll be developing some floor plans, some massing ideas, and then pulling some design images forward with the goal of, getting all our deliverables together by that week of September 22nd. So you go into the next slide, I think it'll probably be like two to the right. Another one, and then another one. I'd like to zooming us in and out on this. So this is a copy of the building program. We still have it in draft notice. But Sarah's starting to hand it out. The building program is on the top, and then we have a couple of adjacency diagrams. So the building program we developed based on conversations with staff, and then we had a conversation, obviously, with the board about it as well. We have made some modifications, and then actually we got a chance to catch up with Ethan on Friday before last Friday. And we're able to get his input as well, and we made some modifications to the building program. And you'll see that we have color-coded spaces kind of in the top third of the sheet. Those will show up really clearly in the concepts that we're showing. So I'm not gonna, kind of run through them super closely. You'll see that there's like 4 technologist offices, for example, in that building program. Those show up really clearly in the adjacency diagrams that we have. And so in some ways, it's kind of easier to read the diagrams because of color coded, but everything is working back together. The adjacency diagrams that we will be showing are starting to look a little bit like buildings. But we know that there will be changes to the concepts that we're showing as soon as we find a site. Obviously, there may be something that we're missing or we want to take out of the concepts that we're showing right now. So we're anticipating that there be changes, but our goal, before the end of this month, before the end of September, is to develop, floor plan, and some building design concepts so that we can pull together a good cost estimate for you. When you go, and seek funding, the other piece of that is we have found that having some renderings, some images of what the facility could look like, is more successful for you being able to ask and get funds. So that's the big introduction. And we'll dive into the meeting. Before we go into the diagrams, any questions about what we ran through so far?
I have a off. Side question, probably because I thought after our last meeting, I thought about it and didn't ask. Now, this isn't a request, just a question. Do you ever do models?
Physical models? Yes.
I've worked with groups that have done that. I just didn't know if
Yeah.
you did those and,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yes, we've done a couple, we've done them a couple different ways. We've built, we've built wood models. Out of pieces of basswood, and things like that. It's pretty time consuming, but it is, they're
Compelling.
Yeah, they're compelling, they're absolutely beautiful. We have actually, now there's places that you can send them to and get them done. And we could, if that was something you wanted, we could figure out how much that costs. We haven't done it for quite a while. We can also 3D print the building form as well. And those were a little bit more limited in size. They're usually kind of about like this size or smaller that we can get super easily. But we actually did that for the hospice project. We 3D printed that building, and then we printed several of them, and they were taking them around as they were asking for money, which was actually pretty neat.
Okay, well, I just want to throw it out.
Yeah.
Again, not a request, maybe keep it in mind, and at some point, it's something that we might think is useful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the other side of that, but everything's gonna be in a software that is a 3D software, so the other advantage of that is we can, project it onto the screen and actually spin another model and do it that way too. So it's a computer model, but it's a great way to start telling the story of the building.
Yeah.
That's something we can definitely do, because
Yeah.
we're putting, it's all in the computer, so,
Cool.
That's what we're planning on anyway.
Okay.
We will have that no matter what.
yeah.
So next slide.
So, as Luke said, we've been working on adjacency diagram. I know this looks a lot like a floor plan, because it kind of is starting to be floor plans. We're really working with
Yeah.
spaces and volumes, that we
Yeah.
heard back from you guys. We have two big concepts. They're not significantly different, I think, between the two concepts. But there's some big, a few moves that I think we want to get feedback on, so to make sure that we're in a good direction. So with this one, I guess we can't really point with our picture. Okay. I'm gonna just describe. I don't know where it is. Oh, never mind, we have it. Okay, there we go. Ooh, look at that.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna kind of walk this one a lot better. Oh my gosh, look at that. I don't want to, okay, there we go.
We don't plan it.
I'm like, I'm gonna watch out, we're gonna pass going after it. Okay, so.
Don't look at the light.
So here.
Stay away from the light.
Stay from the light. So we've heard a few things about the experience of this building. We wanted to kind of nail down the adjacencies and how the spaces flow. So we have two main user groups. We have the people that are gonna work here. Massively important to make it a great place to work. And then we have public, and then we also have board function. And the board is a little kind of tied into both realms. Actually, you guys are all tied into the public realm in some aspect, but the direct connection with them is an important piece for us to study here. So I'm gonna kind of walk you through the sequencing of how these spaces are kind of clustered together and how a user, a member of the public might experience the space, and then we'll talk a lot about how, how the spaces will flow for someone who's working here too. So in this scheme, you can see that we kind of have this front area here. When you walk into the building, you'll be walking in through a vestibuled entry into a main reception space.
And in this scheme, this is different than the other one, we've kind of clustered the water resource specialists around this zone here. Because we've heard that, hey, likely there may not be a full-time receptionist at this building, and really, it's these kind of four, positions that will be serving, public when we come in. And then we also have, well, would be Ethan's office right here at the knuckle, that's kind of between the rest of the staff and that reception area. Where the water resource specialist will be working. From here, if a member of public was gonna go to the boardroom, we have this ancillary kind of waiting zone that serves this larger meeting room that's over here. We currently have this set up with, you can just for scale, we threw in 40 chairs back in this area with seating in kind of an arc-like position for the board, so you all have visual connection to each other. Obviously, this could be modified slightly, but we just wanted to put this in here as one kind of concept. Also could be set up for hearings and support for those hearings as well. So you can kind of see like half of it is kind of dedicated to that board and hearing presentation with a little bit more flexibility over on this side. When we talked before, we talked about, you know, is this room, we don't need to get into specifics of the design of this room, but is this room something that is very flexible and more furniture-like pieces, or is it permanent? It doesn't change the cost of the space that much. So I think right now it's just a point of thinking. But you can see that, hey, we could do this in permanent seating, kind of situation, or we could leave this very open and we have a storage space off to the side where you're kind of bringing furniture in and out and changing the use of that space. So nothing needs to be decided now, but we wanted to kind of put a few different layouts there for you guys to consider. Yeah, the other piece, oh no, that's great. So the other piece we heard is, hey, there's smaller meetings, more intimate meetings, maybe executive sessions or like committee meetings that also need to happen in this space. We have a smaller meeting room up here, but we've done some kind of boardrooms where we're able to modify kind of a little bit more permanent type furniture situation into a more intimate. So you can see these dashed lines here. This is you can actually adjust the table, so they kind of come together, and it would be a little bit more like what you have now for a smaller kind of committee, more intimate type meeting. So kind of thinking about flexibility, but giving you that sense of permanence that we also are designing within this facility. So that's kind of the main kind of public zone is that area here. So this space and this space, and then we start getting into the back side. Oh yeah.
So, board members, you know, we had a little bit of discussion last time about the kind of room. Do we want something like this where it's just sort of open, or something more like what's up there? I guess it was my suggestion, we think about that. So initial gut reactions.
I like that design.
I kind of like making the large boardroom open. Just gives it more flexibility.
Okay.
to use it for.
Okay.
I like that design, but just think functionally it might be no use.
Okay, Roger?
I kind of agree with Ken on the keeping it open and making it flexible to move stuff in and out. And
So
and I-
less permanent furniture.
yeah.
The other thing that got brought up last time, and I think Georgia brought it up, was making a room like that also available. I don't know if you're interested, but making it available to the public. So actually something more flexible would be more suitable to that, but are you interested in making a room like that available to the public?
Yes.
Community space.
So, is there I mean, just thinking on the fly here, so the discussion is either this or something more like this. Is there something in between? Some concept that sort of does a little bit of both? And the other question I had is, not to get into too much detail yet, but the audio visual stuff needs to be built in somehow.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, Yeah, and that's oftentimes what, drives the design of the space a little bit, is what we've seen, so, so, you know, looking around the table today, there's only 2 computers, that are set up right now, but oftentimes what we see, you know, in a situation like this is we'll, you know, that we'll have a, screen, you know, mounted behind, you know, where, whatever table configuration it is, so that the public can see directly to the screen. And then, oftentimes there's a secondary screen that's, mounted or part of, yeah, exactly, the podium, so. In this sense, the board members could see, what was going on, there as well. And that's the least technology intensive, way of having a screen that everyone can see, but it's more of a, you know, you see this more in like city governments, like, tribal council, city council, things like that. But just having those 2 screens is the least, technology-based solution that there is. If people want to have, you know, individual screens around them, it usually requires that we get something built in that's a little bit harder that helps support that, so that, when you can see between your tables, I'm not, you know, ripping on or anything, but, you know, there's a lot of cords down here.
Yeah.
And, having some pieces built in help, minimize the amount of, cords that that you have to deal with on a more frequent basis. So there absolutely is, and I think that we could really dive into that and find, what works with you, you know, kind of hearing from, you know, each person about what they like, about both scenarios.
So if we, you know, for the board discussion, if we looked at that and said, well, we want it more open, so it's more flexible. In my mind, I look at like the community center where we first met, one of the first meetings we had, community center in Ronan, just a big open room. But then, you know, that little storage room there probably isn't adequate for storing all the tables and chairs and things that need to be stored between, you know, times or to make available for the public. So just another thought.
My thoughts on opening it to the public is if we're a public building, if our press say the public couldn't use it.
We do think that there's a good way to, in both concepts to, accomplish that. So you want to have bathrooms, available to the space when it's open. And so, we do think that there's a way to shut down, you know,
Privatize that.
yeah, kind of 2/3 of the building. And then, you know, you still have, so each one of these individual offices, we want to make sure that there are locks on the doors and, you know, think about what was out at the reception desk to make sure that it was, you know, nothing that was, that could walk away super easily, but, it's, in this concept, we could, you know, do a doorway, kind of like right in this zone, right before it hits the, heavier office space and shut that part of the building down and just have this portion open to function like that.
So will the offices close to reception, will they each have an emergency door?
So that's not what we're not showing any doors right now, but, yeah, so like to the exterior.
Yeah.
So there's, I don't think that we were thinking that right now. They could, the number of, you know, entry points you have on an exterior building, it's usually harder to kind of secure the facility. So, we could absolutely do it. There are typically with organizations, you know, even like operable windows, we love having operable windows. Every staff member loves having an operable window. And then there's a conversation about, you know, how secure do we want to have this building at, you know, our building at night and things like that. And that's where those pieces start falling back away. So, in the concept that we're showing right now, every single office actually could have an exterior door if we want them to.
Just something to think about.
Yeah.
And just, curious, the small meeting room, you have it located there. And you're thinking about where it's at?
Yeah, so this one's pretty intentional, and you'll see in the other one, we actually have another place in this, one of those places we'd love some feedback from you guys on. So this one, I think when we met with the board and a few staff members, we heard, hey, it'd be really nice to kind of be able to pull away if it's an executive session or for small committee meetings perhaps, that you could pull away and actually utilize this. So we wanted to have it kind of be between where we know staff will be using this. We could also imagine the board kind of sneaking away and using that space for the sneaking,
Away, stepping away.
stepping away from the big board meeting, or having, you know, an early executive session and then kind of filing into this public, more public realm of the larger room. So we're kind of seeing this a little bit as a multi-use, function for both board and staff. So that's why we pulled it up and have that adjacency. You'll see in another scheme, we're actually pulling a little bit further away from the board area, but, and kind of serving the staff, but it's just a little bit different approach to it. You also see, we talked a little bit about having a kind of a drop-in space for the board and also maybe some future expansion needs for the overall facility. So we tucked this workspace here that has, you know, would have windows, things like that out of here, but it could be a great drop-in space for board if they had some work to do, things like that, and kind of be part of this whole staffing area, but kind of having their own drop-in zone. Also could be a place that interns could go, things like that, if it was not by board members. So that was kind of the thinking there. And then the other thing we've heard a lot of is we want to have windows and views to the outside, just to make this a better, easier place to be as a staff member. So you can see that we really are kind of loading all these staff zones on the exterior of the building and trying to bring in the core zones with spaces that don't need light or high, you know, higher ceilings. So that's these kind of grayish blue colors here. That's really the cores where bathrooms will be, IT, document storage. In this scheme, we're not showing a basement. We're trying to see how efficient we could get the layout. So we're actually able to get all your programmatic needs taken care of on a singular floor here. That may not be ideal, but it is something we wanted to explore to see how that would fit. And you'll see in the other scheme that we're looking at a little bit more division space.
So, this building here doesn't have a basement, so it would just be slab on grade construction,
Here, like.
which is a lot more economical to construct than putting in a basement.
Yes.
Yeah, and we think that you probably would not want to hold, building a basement underneath this whole building.
Right.
Because it's,
7,500.
yeah, it's like 7,500.
Yeah, it's a big building.
Square
Yeah.
feet of basement space, that, it's not free.
Yeah.
So you'll see in the next scheme when we pull that up that we are saying, hey, we could do a basement or second level pretty easy in a zone of the space to kind of mediate between both those options.
The storage, I mean, that little storage space is one thing for, you know, for like a meeting room, but storage. And then, down where the, water resource specialists are and, you know, the public coming in, that's reception. So periodically, they need a workspace to kind of take someone and spread out. Is it that open workspace back there you're talking about, or is there some place that's kind of a workspace that the water resource specialist would have access to other than their office?
Yeah, so here we have this, I mean, it looks like reception desk, but really it's kind of, what is it, like 16 feet long to greater. We're thinking that this would incorporate that, like, kind of two-person looking over a set of drawing or map easily, but then yes, you could bring people back here to this meeting room here, or into one of the, you know, if it was this workspace, it could be in that workspace too, to serve kind of the needs of that as well. So that was part of the thinking of kind of keeping it a little bit more in this realm.
Okay, Ethan, I mean, you guys, does that seem like conceptually it works?
we talked last Friday and they really just jumped inside my brain and put a bunch of stuff that I talked about on this diagram that I haven't seen until today. And so, I would say, yes, it was definitely, would work for us, especially I was pretty motivated to have the great room work for hearings as well. And they've got a plan for that. And then the breakout meeting room, I mean, all the stuff we talked about has really, been incorporated in this particular layout.
This is all stuff we discussed with Clayton that day. That's right.
Yeah,
And-
yeah.
and-
Looks like we've heard everything.
as well, but again, storage,
Yeah.
just, I mean, probably gonna need some kind of storage other than the garage.
Yeah, they have this indoor gear storage. There is a specific request that I had mentioned because we have flow meters and probes and things that we don't want to keep out in a less conditioned space. And so that's what that gear spot is. And then I would assume in the garage, we have a corner with waiters and things that we care a little less about, would get to reside, you know, maybe some tools and things like that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking more broadly. Just about every office space I've ever worked in,
On that space.
there's never enough storage.
Yeah, and that's the advantage of maybe and we could easily do it here too, is having a partial basement or something like that. We do have, also, I didn't point out, and, we have a document storage room here as well. This can have firewalls around it, that's one thing we discussed.
Mm.
And it's actually a little bit larger than I think, have in the program right now, just because it fits the space really well, but I think there's some flexibility kind of in this zone to say, hey, we need a little more storage for a large meeting room, that bathroom with a shower is quite large right now.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of wiggle room, I think, to kind of fine tune those needs, but yeah, I would definitely hear you on the storage piece.
Yeah, I mean, I would also say like the IT and security space right now that we're showing, right now you have a single rack for IT, which, you know, it's smaller than like this table right here. But we were thinking that some of the gear that is currently up in Ethan's office could go in that space. And if we can definitely incorporate more storage in this, like in any facility, especially with where we're at. And I think I heard, and I think it's a very good point, the storage off the big meeting room probably needs to be bigger to make it so that you can put more, like basically everything away in there, and just have a few pieces out.
If it's gonna be an open,
Yeah,
just like this, open facility, yeah.
yeah, we can make it so, yeah, we hear that and we can respond to that then. Get more storage, for sure.
And then we haven't touched too much on this back area. These are gonna be really similar in both schemes. We wanted to cluster staff together, so hydrologists, we have 4 offices, they're all 10 by 14, which I think you guys measured out. And then these desk areas just represent kind of the typical desks we're seeing in here, so you can just get a sense of scale on what fits in there. It's actually it's a nice
Yeah.
scale office compared to a lot that we see. And then in Ethan's office, he has a little bit more needs, a small conference table, things like that, so you can see how that gets incorporated into into those spaces. And then all of those would open into this core space where we imagine we'd be bringing an overhead, natural light from overhead. And it would fit, kind of breakout, table space for people to work on. Some more kind of immediate storage needs, printers, things like that could be gathering in here that really feed all of these office spaces here. And then in the purple is the kind of finance office with their little breakout space for audits and things like that you requested.
With the hydrologists and field staff there, and with your gear supply, your sort of back door where the carport and garage is. Would the bathroom with a shower be better off back there? Just a thought.
Yeah, if we kind of incorporated it maybe into this zone somewhere, like just kind of change how we're thinking about covered outdoor space. That would actually allow us to get that storage room enlarged and then kind of have that immediate clean off zone.
I know that puts separate plumbing in the backside of the building, but
We'll need it for the break room anyway.
you'll need it for the break room anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
That might allow us to promote that document storage area over to more where the maps are, so that that would be a little more centrally located to the
Yeah.
water resource specialist. We're still learning about where our document needs are, but those file cabinets back over there off your back right, they get access pretty regularly, so.
Okay, yeah, so having that a little bit closer to staff,
Yeah,
And more files coming in all the time.
this is great feedback.
So they brought in one box, that box is another box that just came in. So roughly speaking, how many more of those boxes are gonna be coming in?
20-something.
20 something, so 20, 30 more of those coming.
A lot,
That's just existing stuff.
yeah.
More file cabinets for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes up 2 of like my probably table width side with 4 drawers.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's great to know. Yeah, I think maybe we can figure that, if we move that bathroom shower over, you know, kind of reconfigure this end zone here a little bit, I think we can accommodate, those needs pretty easily.
Well, then I think really long term, the whole reason for our business is water rights. People coming in and new water right applications from here on forever.
Yeah,
So how we, look at how that needs to be thought about. I don't have any idea what that means in terms of size. I mean, we can look at what they do in regional offices, but I know they go to a lot of paperless stuff, but still there's a lot of paper.
yep, yep.
but I think what we were seeing and talking to people, it's the new stuff that gets digitized, but all the stuff that's not, that's paper now, and it takes a long time to
Well,
get rid of, even once it's digitized, it's staying there.
well, this board will, at some point have to face what destination, occurs with all of the statements of claim associated with Flathead Indian Reservation. Because, I do know the state of Montana is gonna try to offload as much of their new storage rights, and then you'll have to decide if you wanna keep those historic documents, or if you wanna digitize and recycle, which is what I think the state's headed towards
Yeah,
right now, and, that'll be a tough decision.
yeah, and those are in the thousands.
What's that?
Those are in the thousands.
Oh, yeah, those would be, most likely a different facility contract or something like that, unless we were really gonna commit to something the size of that garage, for,
Yeah.
for document storage.
Thinking about that, in either of these schemes, we can have a basement. So that might be a piece that's like, hey, yeah, we wanna be able to do that, at least now when we're asking for the funding for it. Like maybe we say, hey, this whole zone here has a full basement, that's gonna let you have that flexibility to do that, while you're asking for the funds. And if it's like, we can't quite get the funds, then maybe we revisit that conversation.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I guess, is there any other thoughts, just looking at this, if there's some adjacencies that don't make sense, or things that do, I guess, that you guys are liking, that you want to pull forward?
I like the idea of that scissor table set up like that, that's pretty cool, because I think that offers a lot of flexibility in, really like 3 different kind of settings: a big public meeting, a more intimate board meeting, hearing arrangement, it could all be right there, and, that's pretty ingenious, so.
Roger. I see the wheels turn.
Yeah,
That's good.
I guess we have 2 concept designs here, so I'll just speak to the first one first. I guess I'm looking at 12 positions here at least. We got 4 water resource specialists, 4 hydrologists, 3 finance, 1 OE, so that's a total of 12. Are we ever gonna get to that? That's a lot of people. And so then, right now, I don't know what we're at, 6 or 7. typical, the DNRC office, regional offices run at 7 or 8. So I'm just looking at the more office space you have, the more square footage you have, the higher the cost is gonna be. So I'm just kind of wondering, can we consolidate a little bit of this? And I'm being the fiscal conservative here.
This is good.
So, like, I look at this and I see open workspace, and then I look over here in break area. Why can't those be combined? You know, I mean, that seems kind of redundant. I don't, and then other concerns that, like with the meeting room out there. And then this other area down below, both of those, especially the meeting room, it's like a sore thumb sticking out there. And both of those, when you pop out, you got 3 more exposed sides. That's gonna be more to heat and cool too, you know? So the more we can kind of consolidate into a single structure.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I don't know that I have the particular design in mind, but I'm thinking about this in terms of just sort of conception. And I like,
Yeah.
in terms of adjacencies, how do we like things working together? My question, and I go back to our last meeting, was at some point, when do we talk about shape of the building? You know,
Yeah.
I think just sort of the overall look of the structure, is this it? I wouldn't necessarily agree that this is it either, but what would we agree to? I don't know yet.
So question not a big.
Now, do you want a round building?
I was wondering why we only consider a single floor, two-story.
So the other concept does have a partial second story.
Which one does?
The second concept, so mechanical and, some storage, mechanical and, document storage.
We're on
calling it
basement,
that.
it could be up or down.
Yeah.
So this question for you, Roger, if we had two-story, would that be easier to heat?
Well, if you had I like the idea of what they talked about is putting in a basement and putting some of this stuff, mechanical document storage,
It's that.
that kind of stuff in a basement. And, you know, that could easily go on under like the large meeting room. I like your layout on your concept too, much better. And I guess I'll just segue in here because, this large meeting room, I think is important that it does become a public meeting room.
I'd go back to my question. Would it be more energy efficient to have a two-story building as opposed to one?
Well, they're always a lot more to cost, they're a lot more expensive to build.
Okay.
And I don't know what the difference is, but it's appreciable.
So, if we had program spaces, for example, offices, meeting rooms, things like that, that are on a second floor, we would have to pull in some kind of lift, an elevator or wheelchair lift or something like that. And, the least expensive of those is a wheelchair lift, and by the time they're installed, they're $40,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
And require annual inspection.
And with our annual inspections, they require several things like that.
We're not opposed to it at all. We actually
Yeah.
love to serve them.
So I think the better you can keep it on one level, all the better, you know.
Yeah, and if we can, it's like IT, for example, IT and security, that could go into a basement space, like there are some non-critical, I mean, they're really critical for the function of the building, but like non-critical for like a daily basis that we can put on, it could be if there was I'm not saying that we're doing this, but if there was like a barn style, kind of shape to this building, that we could shove some of that, put some of those uses up, on a higher level, still within the whole volume of the building. That would be the same, cost as doing the basement as well. And so that's,
So the basement doesn't have to be ADA or anything like that.
not if we have, public functions,
Okay.
you
So
know.
offices or
Yeah,
public.
right.
Bathrooms.
Yeah.
Storage and mechanical, even that, probably requires an elevator.
No, so as long as, there's a, policy within the organization that, if you hire someone that, has accessibility, needs that are different than, myself, for example. They, as long as you have a staff person that they can reach out to that said, you know, I need this document that's down in the basement, can you get that for me? As long as you have a policy in place that supports, their, you know, the function of their job, needs, in a facility like this, you're fine from an accessibility standpoint. So the, you know, the maintenance personnel, so maintenance spaces, such as mechanical, and electrical are, not required to be accessible, by, international building code, for example, so, we can put them, we could put a ceiling hatch up in here that was, large enough for a person to get up into it and have the mechanical equipment, up above the space, and that's not an issue for code standpoint.
And you see a lot of the mechanical stuff in a basement anymore, you know, everything, even the IT stuff. I mean,
Yeah, either
Yeah.
basements
Yeah.
or like mezzanine levels, one of those two work really well for that.
The thing I like about the concept too, is if you took that entry and just moved it over to in between, that space in between the large meeting room and the reception area, then that would provide a direct access into, if we could seal off the office and then the public could access the meeting room, you know?
Right, there was something like, right,
So,
Right in
yeah,
that number.
right there, yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah,
so,
absolutely.
so I'm just throwing out ideas.
No, it's great, it's
So,
great to get that feedback.
Because then you've got all your bathrooms right there too,
Yeah.
to some degree, you know, you could lock a door to the rest of it, and then you'd be good.
Yeah, that was part of,
The driver for this.
the driver
concept.
for this
Yeah.
concept was how, you know, how can we make this kind of function, on its own as well as part of this whole building?
Yeah,
Which is pretty directionality and adjacency is.
yeah,
takes care of that.
exactly, that, it just lends a lot more to making that public access without impacting the rest of the operations too.
The other pieces to this, obviously, we have that same kind of reception, a little bit different directionality, but same reception, receiving area. And then those water resource specialists kind of aligning this, so they all can have eyes, visual connection to the reception, but also feel pretty, we like kind of how this one felt really connected to the staff area and back. And then obviously this layout is kind of similar, but we are bringing that, meeting room a little bit more inboard, still with some access to daylight, things like that on the outside. But we felt like it's a kind of a good connection between all these staff that would be using it and still providing that kind of, pass-through back access for board members. If you guys were having an executive session, you could come have a meeting in here and file into that boardroom without walking all the way through reception and going through that public zone.
Well, and with that design, you could have two HVAC systems basically, or you could shut down the HVAC system for the large meeting room, because it's only gonna be intermittently utilized.
Yeah.
So then that would save a lot of heating, cooling costs too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. The other thing, it's kind of interesting because square footage wise, we're basically the same footprint. This one's a little bit smaller, but we obviously have we're suggesting a basement or upstairs for some of these mechanical and storage needs. But we still have some breakout space, so thinking about, rather than adding extra offices, things like that, we did hear that, okay, it's really nice to kind of gather around the table. So we do have a space up here that we thought would be nice for that, for staff to use. But also if you did grow, we could put a wall here and it functions as a great office as well. It might be a really nice spot for intern, kind of that drop-in intern position that we talked about as well.
Yeah, that's a Roger, in terms of 12 office spaces we talked about. Looking at the current org chart and then adding a few spaces for potentially interns for expansion, or for if the board ever wants to come and have some office space to work, private office space to work in. So we did like think about our size and tried to like, you know, I think, you know, we were on that meeting, like, we talked about just making it a little bigger, so.
Yeah, I agree with the idea of being, you know, being as efficient as we can with this first. And I say first building because, but I also think about, and it's, you know, maybe reasonable, unreasonable, but I think about the potential of the building and the land space, structure it so that I think not if, but when we're required to add something that we think about. So let's say, you know, you develop a plan and then you can lop off piece of it so that later on, when you're ready to build, you're already set up so that you know where you're gonna build and how.
Yeah.
But the first structure is maybe a lot more efficient, but you're set up when you're building to add more. That means kind of structuring the building so that you're ready to accept more in the building, but your land base is also set up to take more if you need. I think about that and I don't know what the shape of it looks like to do all that, but
Yeah.
that's part of what I think. And I throw it out. I mean, this is one shape. You know, do you want to look at other shapes like either a round or octagonal type facility that might actually put things more in a consolidated?
Yeah.
It might consolidate things even more. I don't know, but I don't know how much time it would take or effort to think about that, but
Question, if you go round or some, say, different shape, is that gonna drive up costs?
It is.
Absolutely.
And makes it difficult for flexibility or as well as the future, so, because it's more of it's structured differently, obviously. But those elements can be brought in, if it's like, hey, something round kind of says gathering in a lot of ways, right? It's about things together, but we can bring those elements in architecturally as well. It may not be a round building, but you can bring it in with other cues within the built elements of that.
And the second question, in both schemes in the finance offices, you have that maintenance fund, what is that?
That's the point of,
It's a shared workspace for, well.
Yeah,
yeah.
I can talk about that. So when we're talking about, office space for finance, right now we have a contract accountant, like we've always really trying wanted to have two people looking at books at all times. And so this is a future space if the board decides that they want to have two people doing the finances in-house. So instead of having a contractor, we'll have a space for an employee instead. And that space in between is where onboarding would be happening, or even if it's not an accountant, it could be an HR person that might be hired. But it's that private, secure place, because right now I'm the one that's doing onboarding. And that's where, you know, gathering personal information and such, so that's that space there. And then it's also where if we had accounting, audits, coming in, if we had, those, we would have that space to do the audits.
I was just curious.
So just to provide a private space that's not interfering with what's going on with the rest of the organization.
The other thing that we're seeing some flexibility, we keep putting the garage at the end, we don't really know, I think that's gonna be really dictated by the site in which we.
How you access.
Yeah, and how you access it,
right.
and that's when I think we'll look at, like. That along with that expansion opportunities, so you don't hinder, you don't put a building like. That says we can never expand off of this side again, or something like that, so we'll be looking at that along with it, but that will be very site driven, I think. On those particular points.
Well, even if it's not round, I keep thinking about, you know, part of what your concern is, what if we made something like the meeting room more central to the building. And then build everything around it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that really consolidates it even more.
So I think what that does, so Sarah and I had, looked at, doing that, so our process, just so you know, is, so we, we developed that, building program, and then we went in and we, created, boxes that were about the same, about the right size. Then we started moving it around, and when we put the, meeting room, the big meeting room in the middle of the building, we thought that we were getting more circulation around that space to access all the, all the spaces that were around it. And so we were, increasing building size for circulation that, ultimately increases the building cost. There's a piece of it that I love it from a, conceptual standpoint. Having the meeting space in the middle of the building is, really powerful statement. But we kind of made the judgment call about, pushing it a little bit more, to the side to reduce circulation. And we were also trying to, think about how the building could be compartmentalized if you did want to, have that open.
To the public.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And also providing that circulation gathering, that's a little bit with an open kind of central concept. I think the DNRC had this in Missoula, and it allowed kind of that gathering of staff and ideas and working together. So kind of bringing that together, it's a little bit like that meeting room in the center, but it's really kind of more staff oriented. But that was behind that one there.
So Roger, with that comment about the break room space, should that be, part of the open workspace? And I think that that's, kind of a question for how you would like the facility. So we've seen it both, done both ways. What we have, what some people like having about a closed break space is that, employee can go in there and close the door, have their lunch, kind of not interact with people and have their own private time. In this case, everyone has their own individual office, and so that includes break area is more important when you have shared workspaces. Obviously, like if people are warming up food and things like that, they're doing popcorn in the microwave. There's more kind of wandering of smells throughout the building. I guess what are people's thoughts about having it closed versus open?
The break room?
Yeah.
Break room, yeah.
When you say open, what do you mean by open?
Like not having
guess we
it for that open workspace in a closed room.
Yeah, or similar, I guess, well, it's not here anymore.
Yeah.
It is. Oh, it is, it's over
Yeah.
here now. Okay. Oh, yeah, the outlet problem.
Yeah, that's
So
probably.
like having it kind of out in the open,
Not outside.
no.
No, not us.
Okay.
Oh, but yeah.
So more like, let's say we had, if this is not what this is, but let's say this was a countertop that you had your little kitchenette in. That people could drink their coffee and wash their dishes, things like that, or kind of pulling it off.
I think the consensus when we met is, I think that everybody wanted it set aside, kind of more of a closed off break area with a fridge and a sink and a microwave and whatever else, and not be out in the open.
Yeah.
Is
But,
that where the coffee maker goes to?
yeah,
And maybe toaster oven?
yeah,
Cool.
yeah, like a little,
Cabinet with some like the stuff that we never can find, but we need
yeah.
once in a while. When we have enough people for paper plates or.
I think the staff was kind of hoping for a kitchen,
Yeah.
like a staff kitchen with a little table in it for maybe 1 or 2 people to sit at.
A little, yeah, I mean, it is kind of a nice way to bring staff together too, like instead of eating your lunch, which I'm sure happens now, you probably eat your lunch at your desk,
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
Just to actually pull away from that and actually maybe interact with people you may not interact with on a daily or all the time with the staff.
Yeah.
Kind of bring a little bit more togetherness.
water cooler talk.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Birthday cakes
Yeah.
Yeah.
or donuts, whatever you guys do.
Any other thoughts on this scheme?
Well, the two concepts, I'm kind of like them too. But
Yeah.
this is, just seems more balanced in this.
It's the basement.
Yeah.
In terms of the number of offices, I also, I was thinking like Roger, it seems like a lot of offices. I also, at different points, we have to consider that there would be maybe some expansion, like there might be a water commissioner that is incorporated into our space at some point. There was always talk with the CITT of hiring like a range ag person that might even be housed in our office, that would help people with their irrigation efficiency and things like that. And so I go back and forth, it seems like having more offices on a building is probably a smart move in the long run. I know when the Missoula Regional Office built their space, at the time, everybody was like, oh my God, we're never gonna fill this many offices. And now they have 2 people in one of them and it's full.
Yeah.
And so I just, I know that that's a unique and different situation, but things do tend to grow, as opposed to shrink. And so that was kind of like, my first thought was like, it's a lot of options. Second thought was like, maybe it's better in the long run. I go back to-
I'm kind of with you, like, but I agree with the idea of trying to make it as efficient as possible. So how do we find that balance? One of the things we need to do is really settle on numbers. Of, what do we agree to now that this is gonna look like? We need to hone in on that, I think, and decide personnel wise, what, not only what we have now, but where are we headed? What do we expect the ultimate org chart to look like?
Well, and remember, when we put that RFP out, we didn't have a finance director, and we had not even contemplated having an in-house finance director, which I think is interesting, like
Yeah.
even between,
A year.
that
Yeah.
one amount of time that we already have, not like a theoretic expansion, but like an actual
Yeah,
expansion.
no,
So,
I agree, and, again, I think we need to settle on those numbers. One additional thing in terms of those thoughts are, where we headed with, we have someone like James who's working as a contractor. Maybe one day we move that to an in-house position. So we need to settle on those numbers. And I don't know what they are right now. We need to focus on them.
I think some of that, maybe this is a little segue into the budget, but, so our fiscal year is coming up at the end of September. And then we'll have to create a new budget then for 2026, but, we can look at personnel then and decide if we're gonna be asking for more money from the funding agencies or what the heck we're gonna do, So that would help us pin down the number of positions. But,
Well, we're actually starting to look at that budget now, right?
Yes. And just a thought, we're not too far away from being able to, our costs with First Call, we're not too far away from having a part-time, if not a 3/4 time IT person. So if we want to have somebody on site or continue to contract a lot of the services out too, so something for 2027. Think about.
so do you have a ballpark number you guys are using per square foot cost?
Not yet. I think part of it is, until we went through the program, exercise, we didn't really know, how big the building really was gonna be. And then I think that, I think that we could get there, well, obviously we're getting there this month, but, or last September. I don't have that off, we don't have that off the top right now.
So I've heard that general construction costs are up to like $400 a square foot now.
Yeah,
Yeah, we would
that's
say,
absolutely correct.
totally correct.
So we're at $3 million for that building.
And then
So,
there's gonna be
just
some
as is, yeah.
variables, the site side, there's,
Without.
there's an
without any
unknown.
site.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's just ballparking that when we get to making the final building funding request. Right now, we're just looking for what's it gonna take to
Yeah,
do the final,
Yeah.
do the plans.
yeah, that could be a good
Because
overall project.
Yeah.
by the time we have final plans, who knows what those costs are gonna be.
So
We
so
could talk
typically,
about that,
yeah, let's talk about the.
You're good, you were about to start, and I interrupted
Yeah,
you.
so, what we were planning on pulling together for, the, kind of, end of September. So obviously the floor plans, we have the building program, the cost estimate piece. What we were planning on doing was pulling together a building construction cost, soft costs, for you. And then, so we can put a factor on it for cost escalation for, kind of 2 years down the road for construction costs. So the, our goal, at this end of September is to say, hey, to get this, all complete, including, pulling furniture into the building, having internet, pulled in and everything is, within this cost, range. And, looking forward, a couple of years based on historic escalation costs that we've seen in the last 15 years.
So, let me just think out loud for a second. So we get through this, we have a cost for what it's gonna take to do the drawing.
Yep.
Okay, do the plan.
Yep,
And then, we get the money for that and we say, go, do the plan. How much, at what point do we, I know it's just an estimate, but just, how long does it take to get a plan like that? I mean, just,
a construction plan, like a construction document.
yes,
A project this size, if you guys said go.
Yeah.
In our, we have the team ready, which I think most of them say, in 2 weeks you can start, and if we said go. It could be 6 months
Yeah, those five-
to develop that with the building committee actively engaged with our
yeah, okay,
process.
so roughly speaking, so within that 6 months, when would be ideal to get the land, the location set?
I think before we started on the actual design.
Okay, so we need that soon, okay.
And then.
And we'll help it analyze. the
Yeah, I need to
site.
make some calls because I put some emails out to them and I've not heard one peep. So I need to get a hold of them and say, come on, guys, let's get with it.
it's gonna be really, that the site is gonna be critical to know what the soils are, so that.
Oh, yeah,
That
yeah.
could add a lot of cost.
Yeah. And then are we still thinking the 4 to 5 acre range, or 3 to 4 acre
I
range?
think we're still hitting around that,
That
at
two-
minimum,
two-ish.
2-ish would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
We could go a little smaller depending on access and things like that, but 2 would be,
Well, yeah, even though this,
So we'll say 2 to 3.
yeah, you could get.
well, this layout here, if you move the garage over here, that would be even consolidated.
Exactly, so there's some flexibility based on what you guys end up with.
Yeah, it kind of blocks some of the windows too.
But as long as we don't
That's
get
right.
too close.
But
It's
that's,
like.
yeah, no, that's where the site is actually really important. It's, we're looking at this plan, horizontally right now, but like in
Yeah.
reality, once we get a site, it may make sense that this thing is, flipped or
Yeah.
it's, rotated, and that's the most, simple change that could happen. Or if it's, like a perfectly square site. We're treating this as a space space adjacency diagram, and then, reconfiguring it to actually work with what site we have, so.
And the cost on the building piece outside of like site development side, so if it's bad soils, that's an unknown, but the construction costs just be pretty close.
Yeah.
So we'll still have a really good ballpark. And when we're doing that pricing exercise for the end of this month, we put a bidding contingency on to kind of account for some of those like unknown, like, yeah, this site has not good soils. We want to make sure there's a little bit of pot of money in there to account for those items.
I'm of the same frame of mind that Ken is. I prefer the concept too. So I think it's just more efficient and consolidated.
Meeting down here.
Yeah.
Oh, you want an office too?
Where's the law office?
Consideration though, that I was curious if they were taken into account. So, I mean, I'm a huge proponent of the workspace, that's on here, that kind of cabin workspace. In particular, because if I have to take a sensitive call, right, I want to be able to go into a pocket room and take that call, because right now I have to go outside.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, and it's not a big deal, right? Some of the stuff I have to take in a couple minutes, but sometimes I might have to sit down, right? Like, for example, maybe Ethan's not able to come to the meeting, for whatever reason, and he needs me to help lead it along with Sydney or Amanda. I might want to take that call off in one of those side offices.
Yeah.
And not use an employee's space, right?
Yeah.
Because I get it. I don't want people sitting at my desk in my office, like, and then my other consideration was in this too, I agree, I really like it too, for the office, but if you're gonna have offices stacked kind of horizontally with each other, it might be, worth looking into like noise considerations, right? Because that's how our office building is structured too, and I can hear everything.
Yeah.
Like even if doors are shut, I can hear everything.
Yeah, we hear this complaint.
Yeah.
We actually have some really great details for that.
Yeah.
Because of that exact thing, because oftentimes they don't treat those walls with the right soundproofing and.
Our mechanicals,
And then mechanical transfer.
is really huge. We did hear that was kind of a non-negotiable from staff, like good acoustics in the building. And that's actually when we so we've heard it like so many times going into renovation projects that we've been in that we don't want to hear that at the end of the project, in all honesty. So we will do everything we can to make it as good as possible. And there's always a different price point for it too. And even like the hospice facility that we that's currently like they just started operating in it. Like the patient rooms are head wall to head wall, and you can't hear it. I mean, it's like unless you're shouting in one room, you can't hear it in the next room, which is amazing. So we hear that as like a non-negotiable from you, and we'll pull it forward.
Yeah, I just think of sensitive, personal information being shared, especially in those front offices with like the reception area there. Like, just legally, I don't want that being put out there.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got even tricked them because we sent them to a place that has a really nice layout, but terrible acoustics.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
and so the Missoula Regional Office is a great example of like, oh, it's almost there, and then, but they
Yeah,
fell
they're
so
great
short.
lighting. but
Yep.
not great sound.
Anyway,
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there's a little bit more consensus around this kind of concept too, the layout,
Sure, for the,
efficiency reasons, and other.
yeah. Is it okay if I run through the pieces that I heard today that I took notes on to make sure that I didn't miss anything? So what I heard was a storage, larger So in general, and also the storage space right off the meeting room. There's a question of, hey, should we have exterior doors for each office? Document storage, more central to staff and also larger. The bathroom with the shower nearer to the garage entry side of the building. Simple building forms and fewer appendages. Plan for a basement or a second floor space. So how many offices now? That's a question, you know, should we reduce the number of offices that we show in the building right now? Versus expansion, how do we plan for future expansion? And then enclosed office spaces are good and acoustics are very important. Did I miss anything?
I heard that they were hoping to keep an enclosed break room.
Close break.
Okay, what I heard, right?
That's why I like repeating things back, just so that like, yeah.
And trying to think of a document location that's central to all the offices.
Anything else before we can look at next steps again?
I did like, you know, I like your idea too of putting that document storage in the basement because then it is more fireproof, you know, and I think that's a real plus.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Does that work for staff?
It's been one of our concerns from day one, how to keep those things safe.
Should it be a vault? Well, I mean,
And then we can add a
doesn't have to be the old style vault, but something like so the actual room is more vault-like. I'm just a question.
Do it with we could do a vault, or we could kind of get there pretty close with a great fire door and treating the ceiling floor
Yeah,
slab in that
yeah,
area, so where
yeah.
fire doesn't spread and we're also the fire sprinkler. Well, make sure we don't have to sprinkle this building, so we're trying. Yeah, yes, we can do
Yeah.
that pretty easy without.
And when you think of vault, are you thinking of, this may be my
Well-
perception, you're not worried about someone breaking in, it's more about fire.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay, good,
yeah.
yeah, no,
Because those are two different types of.
no, I get it. I said use the term vault, but it's like the vault, you know, it's like,
Fire, yeah,
Yeah, if there was a fire, it's gonna
yeah.
stay safe for a long time. Should we have the next slide?
So can we go forward, two more slides, I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay, so next steps, and this is absolutely illogical from my hat. So I know it's the week of,
Change your font.
yeah, I know. Whoops, I'm sorry, everyone. So, the week of, September 8th, that's when we're hoping to get together with at least the, building committee. As far as we're concerned, if there's, other board members and staff that, are interested in being involved with this, we would, be happy.
so if we do that, what I am gonna try real hard to do is get maybe someone from the tribe and the state to at least sit in on that. So that they're more aware of what we're doing, and try to push on that location issue a bit, so.
Yeah, and if they have questions, it'd be a great time. for us.
Yeah, so, yeah, if I know exactly when, since week of 9/8, but when we have a date,
We'll work with
let me
you.
know and I will, in the meantime, try to get them primed for that.
Well, we know that the 8th and 9th won't work, so
Okay,
right up front.
good to know.
So I think at that, so obviously we got some feedback from today that we want to incorporate into the adjacency diagrams that we have right now. But then we want to start pushing that forward into, actual floor plans and some massing, like, hey, what does this building kind of look like? Is, what we're gonna be, pushing forward before that, it sounds like it's maybe the 10th at the earliest, so we can get some more feedback. So we'll be looking at, kind of building massing, like what shape is this building? And how the volumes and how the, window fenestration is working and things like that. So we'd love to, it's kind of a checking point to get feedback and hopefully, get some thumbs up and maybe a couple thumbs down. And then that will help set us up for that, week of September 22nd, where we're kind of pulling together a package for this first round of deliverables from this.
And is that, at that point, is that a preliminary design at that point?
So-
All up by 50 and 90%, is that correct?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So, I kind of touched on this earlier, but like, so we will have we'll have a floor plan. We know that, whenever we find the site, we're gonna make changes. And the board and staff will, obviously be thinking about the concepts that we pulled together, and oftentimes there's, changes that happen, like, right, when we start on our actual, kind of document work. So, but there will be a floor plan, there'll be, probably building elevations, maybe a couple of renderings that show what the, building looks like. We can do a movie. I don't know if it will be, I don't think it'll probably be by that 22nd date, but if you guys were like, it'd be really helpful to have a play around of this and,
Sell the idea.
yeah. We can do that. It takes a little while for the rendering software to do that. That's why I don't know if I could, if we could get that done, for them, but yeah. You'll have enough information to understand costs. The building layout, what it, could look like, and, kind of set you up for that funding. Please.
I think anything, if it's, obviously you'll be thinking about this between now and like the week of the 8th, if there's any feedback, like, oh, we really thought we'd want to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Just feel free to reach out or shoot us an email or anything, and we'll try to get those set thoughts incorporated in our address.
How did we do today?
I think that'd be good. Yeah, informative.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
Good job. Good, I think. If everyone has more thoughts, feel free to jump in, so, in the meantime, between now and next meeting, just,
So, how are we gonna schedule the next week's meeting?
Let's go reach out to Ethan, does that make sense? And then we can kind of gather the.
Yeah, and I think the remainder of this meeting, we'll probably sort out a couple of things that's gonna happen that week that will help put some sideboards on that. And I'll
Okay.
do my best to, serve as a liaison on getting that organized, getting on the books.
Okay,
Let you know when the board will be available. If you're gonna still need to sort out, we're gonna have a board meeting on the 9th, maybe that makes sense to do it on the 9th. I don't, still. We have a few other things to discuss. Got a field trip on the 8th. Couple other
you
logistics.
guys are busy.
We gotta work
We'll be
through.
busy.
I will certainly lead the charge on getting that organized
Okay,
with you guys.
and we can definitely do that one online if, some people could
Yes.
just call in or be in on that
Yeah,
meeting if they want to, so not everyone is gathered here, if that makes sense.
We're, like right now, we're completely open down that Wednesday and Thursday. Monday, actually, we're, open as well. So just to kind of prime that to the time a little bit.
Okay, so you're open on the 10th and the 11th.
So the week, yes, 10th and 11th.
Okay. That's helpful for me. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I was over here doing, but not, good to know on social media. I promise. So, well, great.
He wants to leave a few extra copies to do, so. Okay, but
Sure.
I'll leave it for them.
I'll bring this.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you, yeah,
That's, I do hold it.
another day, another day.
Oh, there we go. Hey, thank you so much. Really appreciate this. Is wonderful. Good presentation, great materials. This is great.
Another step, thank you.
Yeah. More stuff.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Travel safe. So we've been going since noon, so you guys want a break? Yes. All right. Take a break. Thank you. That it is. Welcome back off a break. So given that it is 3:30, we've got HR firm contacting us. We're meeting with online at 4. And I don't know how much later we're gonna go today, so is there something of the next several items that would be more of a priority? Or should we just go in order? Ethan and Haley, any thoughts? Or board, anything you want to consider first?
Question for you, how important is that we do number 4?
Well, we've been trying to prioritize water policies and move them all forward. We actively have the state-based registrations and we just collected another
So it's important.
148. I mean, I also recognize the time problem that we've got right now. And so I don't know how long it's gonna take you to move some of the items on the water policies and procedures, but yeah, I'm myself, I'm struggling with how we're gonna be able to get through everything.
So number 4, it's important too.
Yeah, I think, has the board had a chance to read the policies? Okay, got one, no? Okay, this,
Let me walk through some of these. So let me ask on number 7, what do we do there?
Sorry,
Number
which
7,
number 7?
item number on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, it's a good one to handle. We can handle it real fast. Would you like to?
Well, let me think through here. Budget, you guys want to go through the budget?
That'll take 5 minutes.
Okay, so let's. And then website might be just a few minutes. So while our policies and procedures, while it's important, why don't we jump to these little items first and see where we're at? And then maybe by 4, we'll take HR and then go from there. How's that? All right, so, budget.
I just have a quick update and kind of talk to you guys about what's going on here. So on the 19th, we got the budget submission, submitted through Ethan, over to funding parties, so that's been done. They've accepted that. We got the budget committee that's working towards getting a meeting, so we haven't yet met, but Roger has worked closely with Greg and he has a meeting on the calendar for this coming Tuesday. To meet with Greg Spar about accounting.
Oh, good.
about audit first. So I talked to Greg and Greg's going to give us a template on how we go about doing an audit. So we're scheduled to meet with him at 11, I think,
9 AM on
9 AM.
Tuesday.
And that'll give you though a chance to show them the budget breakdown, right?
Yeah,
You can always look at that.
He's requested a lot of information.
actually-
Okay, good,
Rhonda's got a.
good. Yeah, and I haven't talked to them, but I'm not looking for them to tell us what to do, but since, we talked about it early on, it's a good opportunity to get,
Yep.
and we're quite a ways on. Let him get some eyes on, and with his expertise, maybe he's got some pointers and tips that we haven't thought of.
Yeah.
Good.
So yeah, that's scheduled. So Ethan, if you want to
Thank you.
participate, that's Tuesday, September 2nd at 9 AM. We are, as I mentioned previously, we are approaching the end of the fiscal year, which is September 30th. 30 days after that, Rhonda's gonna try and have us reconciled annual fiscal report. And then we can start we can even start the 2026 budgeting process before then, if we can pick a date to do that.
Sure. That was September the
Second,
second. Okay, thank you.
Tuesday. And it's at Greg's office.
Greg's office, and do you know where his office is?
Yeah, if you know where they'll probably move you to a room, but his office, where the building is, main building,
In Pebble?
Pebble.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the south entrance, as soon as you walk in the door, he's right there on the left,
Oh, okay, that's easy.
unless he's moved. And if he's not there, ask, they'll point you to.
That's the same building that has lands and everything else. in it.
Yeah, but lands on the opposite end, on the north door.
Yeah.
But the public access door, one of the public access doors is actually that north door anyway, so,
Okay,
or south door, anyway, so. Yep,
so yeah, I guess
What time is it?
9 AM. So Georgia isn't here, so I don't know, we could send out some dates for a budget meeting. How soon do you wanna? Ethan, you got a few things to work in. I think we talked about. We're gonna have to add in some new line items and whatnot, so.
Potential like PTO liability, like we discussed at the last meeting, potentially Ethan's training for 2026 budget year. HR firm. And then we're not 100% certain, what our audit, line item might look like for this coming year, but we have some savings too from not spending it in 2025. And that's about all I have, unless you guys have some questions. We just need to keep moving forward so we can get 2026 done and wrap up 2025.
That's all I got.
okay, questions?
Mr. Chairman, I need to step out real quick. So
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
All right, thank you, thanks, Greg. And Rhonda.
Mhm.
Website,
Did you, website? Mr. Chairman, board members, I, sent out an email message to you. The chair was, interested in having everybody take a look at the website to see if, there was some opportunities to do some reorganization and some. I believe, Mr. Chairman, I don't want to put words in your mouth, that you, were interested in having links to the compact and the ordinance more prominent.
a little more, yeah, they don't have to be the first thing you see, but I think if you go try to find the ordinance right now, you gotta dig a little, and if you're not sure what you're looking for, it's kind of hard to find.
Sure, and just out of, for my own edification, are you primarily accessing it with a computer or with your phone, or is this from both?
Both.
Okay.
Under policy and law, is that? If you look at that,
So that's the drop down that kicks us into the compact or ordinance, the appendices, the legal We.
So maybe it's, I mean, when I tried to find it, it didn't seem it was that obvious, so maybe it's fine. So if you click on the word ordinance, what, is that what, does it go to the ordinance? Compact ordinance bill, okay. You know, that might be adequate, you know, I'm not sure why, when I looked, it didn't pop up that way. Maybe I was looking in the wrong place.
You don't, yeah, I could say you can just hover over it, it's very quick too.
And that should get, I mean, it's important that I wanna work through it so that, we need you to like where the ordinance link is. So, another option is we could try to do another hard link in that top window for a couple of items. The website developer at the time was kind of particular about, you know, how many, you know, like, excuse me for not articulating very well, but she really encourages to keep the number of things up here brief. And for what it's worth, it doesn't mean that we need to stick with that. That was just kind of where we were at on things. And so this was the arrangement that we came up with. And that said, though, if you'd like to see something different, I'm happy to do it. That'll be kind of an item we'll need to contract as additional services with our website folks. I did have a couple of other things about the website. We are aware, you know, that maybe we could do better on linking the WPMPs as those are starting to get better developed. I think that those are hidden if you go under the same policy and law. Then you go down to legal, technical, and policy archives. And now you gotta scroll down to under water policy and procedures. You know, that if we were gonna make things more prominent, I would probably encourage you to have a third more prominent thing. So maybe the compact, the ordinance, and the water policies and procedures. If we were gonna like build a new bar that has those right at the main website, I'm just thinking out loud. So, anybody else has got some important thoughts, please.
Well, I would, after revisiting it, as far as the ordinance goes, that's probably adequate and wouldn't want to spend a bunch of funds trying to change anything that's there right now. I'm really not sure why I looked, wasn't too long ago, I looked and I don't remember if it was on my phone or computer, but even on my phone now I can find it. So I think I would withdraw my request to change, unless the board decides you want to see anything different, at least for me. I think I'm good, but if there's something else you guys want to see changed, now's the time.
I looked through it, found it pretty helpful. I didn't have much problem like finding things I wanted to see.
Okay. We do have a couple of broken links that are because the state and the tribes have rearranged their sites, and we are aware of that, so we're gonna need to fix those. If you go into about, there's an FAQ section. Where's the FAQ? Oh, there we go. Sorry. If you scroll down a little bit here, we think it may be worth updating the FAQ section if we were gonna do something. We can do that in-house. I believe that as long as we keep the structure the same, the wording of some of these things, I think at some point here, they're like a list of like 210 wells and something, you know, that we have done, and we've done quite a bit more now and things like that. But I guess
On a side note, for me, when you look at things like FAQ, one of the things we talked about, and I hear periodically out in the public, gee, you know, we're not really sure what you guys do. How come the papers don't put more information about you guys in there? Now, certainly the press has their own responsibility and interest, but we talked at one point about doing some more press releases and things about, you know, educational material out there about what we do. You know, maybe getting FAQs out there or other educational information about what we do would be, so, you know,
Yeah.
maybe more beneficial for us if and for the public. But if we haven't already done that.
We did start drafting, some press release information. It's not completed yet. We have also tried to re-engage with this realtor training process that we need to get involved in, just kind of getting caught up in too many things. It was also tough. Kathy Schubert was the lead on that, and then she transitioned out, so we've been trying to, you know, resume effort by, you know, for somebody that's not with us anymore, but I'll keep these things moving forward and try to have something
Periodic
for you guys
public
to
education information, yeah.
take a look at. Also, just wanted to let you know that.
Hold on, Ken had a,
So remember on the tech challenge. I'm asking this from a tech challenge point of view. Would it be easier for the public, instead of just saying about, just to put a link at the very top for FAQ?
Yeah,
I'm asking, not really suggesting, because I'm not really sure. The answer is, I guess. That way, when they log on your website, it's right there in front.
so you just wanna change about to FAQ.
Is there other things in about, other than FAQ?
so actually, if FAQs in the water rights tool, is that in the right place?
I don't know.
That should be forms and applications, the other thing.
Maybe it's time to take a relook at the whole webpage.
Well, that's part of what I wanted to do, and if we're not ready to say what changes now, we should take a look at it and maybe also come back with some recommendations, Ethan, on what might need to be updated and changed. Part of the other reason for having the discussion is that when we do that, it's gonna cost, right?
Yep, that's, we've kind of left it the way it is, because we've got a lot of other irons in the fire, and it does get the job done for the most part. We have identified some real broken stuff that we're in the process of fixing, such as our water right applications received. There's a technical function that's broken there, and Sydney Palmer is deeply immersed in trying to get a solution.
All right,
Ron has been helping her as well, but
for doing this, I'm thinking about two things. One is, what do you guys want to see that's not there or you want to have changed? The other is on the financial side, in terms of what you're seeing and then what might need to be changed. You're free to, I mean, within a certain amount, you're free to go ahead and spend a certain amount anyway. But it might be helpful to figure out what we want to change, run it by the board, and then get it to them and get a cost estimate, so at least we know how much.
Why don't you just change water right tools and FAQ?
Yeah, just doing that alone is gonna cost you some money to do that.
Really?
Yeah, it's
So,
not
there's
about,
yeah, there's certain things that we have the ability to change within the, like, our existing structure, and then there's certain. Like larger, like some of the banners and things like that, it's just out of our wheelhouse, you know, and so we just have to re-engage the main website designer for those.
why don't I put together a list and get an estimate
Sure,
what it's gonna cost?
We'll try to move some things around. If anything, sometimes I like websites that have, I think, less is better sometimes. So you know,
Like a
in my
billboard.
assessment, I will look in particular at removing things that I don't think need to be there. And I'll make the suggestion before we move.
Yeah, let's,
But,
you guys good with that? Get a list together and kind of see where we're at and get a cost estimate, because it's gonna
I
cost.
asked that question about FAQ because 2 weeks ago, I was asked by the person with my vegetables farm is a true candidate. The tribe's gonna put meters on all the wells.
still,
I said, you go to the website, he goes, yeah, but you know. So,
Well, I think Yeah, well, I was gonna say something sarcastic, but I'll hold it.
Well, I think the message she was sending is that maybe website with one step above is functional ability, maybe. I don't know. See what I'm saying?
General messaging for the non-technically oriented folks would be good.
Well, and then that public education stuff. If we can figure out a plan for that, doesn't all have to go out at once, but if we set a routine so that once, maybe every other month, we've got something out there in the public that's sort of that constant drumbeat of information and education might be helpful. Cause I'm still getting people saying, you know, what do you do and how come the papers don't cover you guys more? One of the things I told them is that nobody shows up anymore. So that's part of it. They gotta show up if they wanna.
One silly suggestion I have just from when I was answering the phones is a lot of people don't know how to find us. Maybe a picture of the front of the building. And then maybe a little Google map of where we are in the end.
Okay, add that to the list. Take a look. All right, anything else on website?
Across the street from the mirror.
Of course.
So, you know, if you go over about, and then go to news.
Yeah.
So I just wanna let the board know, if you click on that first story there. Yep. So your news page was updated for the first time in like 3 years.
Oh,
This is where we put the permit and change, procedure update. So if you scroll down, this is the letter. It's essentially the text of the letter, and then you can actually click that button. And it's a copy of the board letter, regarding the process for the WPPs on permits and changes. So I just take a second to load, but,
And that's the first bullet under the WPMP section. And I was gonna add to it that this morning, late morning, I sent out a communication to the working group. So that we're gonna start scheduling those meetings. So that'll include Roger and George and Haley. Some of our staff here, Dustin's stepped out for a second, but Sydney, James, if he's available. And so we have got a communication that went out. I figured maybe after we had this meeting, I might just forward to the rest of the board members what we sent out, just so you can see what progress we try to make there.
another question.
Yes, sir.
Just remind me, we have, and I'm sure I'm using the right language. We have a listserv, an email, a big list of people you send emails to when we set up meetings.
Yes, sir.
About how many people are on it?
30.
Oh, that's not many. But that might be a good, thing to do is periodically just send an educational email out to them or a reminder, here's the website, here's the link, take a look, it's been updated. That's a thing.
In the draft for the press release, there is an inclusion like, hey, give us a call if you want us to add you to the listserv.
Yeah.
And we do require people to ask to get on the list.
Yeah.
The listserv, because we don't want to be providing unsolicited.
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, okay. Anything else on the website? We've got just a couple more minutes. Want to cover number 7?
I think number 7 could get covered pretty fast. 7.1 is that we did in fact request some registrations from your Helena office board.
And that's, well, the box is gone now. There was a box sitting back there and
I have it in
that
my
was it.
office.
So,
Not on the screen. Nothing's operating around here.
it's in the basement.
So that has been a success. We ran into a small technical glitch on some format issues with the spreadsheet from the state. We learned from that. We were addressing that. So hey, thank you for helping us point out that there's a couple of redundant requests in there. So what's the total number that we got? 143. new registrations that we have taken possession of. Here at the Office of the Engineer, giving us the 6-month timeline to get those addressed.
Okay,
Item 7.2, unless you have any questions about registration requests.
no, you got a new box because you got through the first box, right?
Well, we got a lot of them. We whittled the first box down to,
41 are done. 5 are DLs and 9 are just a little more complicated and we haven't reviewed, we're just mapping them out, so.
a DL is a defect letter. So, if we have identified a problem with the registration, then a letter goes out to the owner of the record requesting that they, respond.
There was something about that related to the policies and procedures
Yes.
that we need to discuss, I think. So if we don't,
Timeline, matter of fact, that we have in the policies and procedures that it helps to set the expectations, for our office and for the owner of record that receives a letter of defect from us.
okay. All right, when do we get to that? All right, is that it for 7?
7.2, Mr. Chairman, is the Jocko field trip. We're scheduled to attend a field trip on September the 8th. Your host, Seth Makepeace, has requested I ask you a few, questions. Namely, first one was what block of time can you commit to the field trip? And when would you like the start time to be?
Who's going on the field trip?
Tentatively, we.
I'm gonna go on a field trip.
Okay,
I think George is.
I'm gonna take Dustin.
I said,
I hadn't planned to. If you think I need to, I hadn't planned to.
You're not gonna go. Okay.
I had not planned. I've given those field trips 100 times.
Well, so.
So I don't know where you're going on the Jocko, but I can probably tell you about it.
We always think something.
Oh, absolutely.
We were counting on you to bring the beer.
Oh, well, then I can do that. So
Let me
where,
give you the
where,
content.
where, yeah,
Maybe that'll help, if, one of the things to look at is an important thing that you might actually have to deal with, which is the, piping of all the canals on the north side of the Jocko, and in that piping procedure, one of the things that you'll hear about and some other struggles, that becomes, it's a rehabilitation and better, I know you know, but I'm saying it for everybody else, it's a rehabilitation and betterment arrangement in which water can get reallocated from its historic seep and waste to in-stream flow. Compact has a little role for the board built in if there's some disagreement on how a reallocation report is viewed between the state and
okay.
so there's that item, which is more specific to your role. Then also taking a look at the updated headworks at the K Canal, which is an amazing feat of engineering. That also includes integrated water measurement that is important for us to look at in terms of assessing things like enforcement or physical and legal availability, and additional discussion about how the FIP and stream flows work, and also some interesting things about fish passage and such there. Then the third item is an under construction feature on the North Fork of the Jocko that is like a pretty major undertaking, and be anybody who ends up going will see some active and unique challenge on mountain construction up there at that bypass.
How are we all gonna get there? We can't all fit in that pickup.
Mr. Chairman, the tribes have offered to have GSA vehicles there at pickup at a spot of us that we could determine right now. Most likely, right across from the rodeo grounds, there's a tribal facility
Yeah, the community
right
center.
down there, which will also give you an opportunity for me to steal you away and show you the agromet station that's on the rodeo grounds. And we have done a little bit of technical assistance with the CITT regarding agromet stations. We believe that, and I continue to promote that they're an important feature here on the reservation because they help to show irrigators what the actual irrigation water requirement is for their crops.
So the facility is the community center, right? Is that what you're talking
Yes,
about?
I think it's the community center.
Yeah, there's a big, yeah.
Got the rodeo grounds,
No, it's across the road from community center. It's on the same road, but there's a
A
big,
little closer to the
big-
main. Yeah.
big building close, just before you get to the rodeo grounds is on the right-hand side.
So what town are we talking?
Yeah, what time?
No, town.
Arlie?
Arlie,
Okay.
Arlie, yes, sir. All right.
I was gonna go to St. Ignatius.
Are you familiar with the Powell Road?
I used to be.
We'll get you there if you are gonna go. Don't worry, I'll give you a pen. I know you like to get the technology going. Or we can pick you up here and take you down there. That's an option as well. I'm just trying to.
What time do we wanna to do that? What time does,
He's asking what time you wanna show up.
How much time does he need?
Well, yeah, you sounded like.
if we're going to
Sounds like he's asking
Good
that.
half a
the
day.
Jocko, the pipe business and the K Canal fairly close.
Falls
But if-
quite a ways.
But if we're going to North Fork, that's a ways up there and, yeah, that's a ways up there.
4 hours, right? Maybe?
Easier.
Let's say 4 hours, maybe a little on the outside of that. For a field trip.
So 10 to 2?
10 to, just, yeah, 10 to 2.
10 to 2, lunch will be provided.
Oh,
Um,
so I don't have to bring the beer.
well, they did not say anything about beer, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so 10 to 2 on September 8th,
Okay, and
and we'll meet at the community center in Travis Community Center.
yep, and I will, circle back with, emails accordingly that help to spec out these details. And we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, a couple, 3 from our office. Georgia, did she chime in on,
Yeah, she wanted to go.
okay,
You don't have to,
5 more.
Haley,
Yeah, I can go up on the,
Here.
you didn't count me. but
Oh, I wasn't getting.
Strap me down.
All right. Thank you. 4 o'clock.
That reminds me of that Far Side joke where the 2 deer are driving the truck and they got the 2 hires strapped.
Exactly what you're looking for.
So I was thinking about like National Lampoons where they put grandma.
Give me like a
That's an old one.
FRWMB flag and I'll just hold it up there.
or let's see who remembers the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah,
There's a few who remember that.
a buffalo road.
Yeah, I said, yeah, see who remembers that.
What, Granny, what did you say?
Oh, dated him.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, almost remember that stupid song.
All right, yeah, if anything changes,
The promoter of pain.
let us know. That done with 7, so we'll jump to, our 4 o'clock item. Item number 10.
Hello,
Hello?
y'all hear me okay?
Yes, we can, and we can see you, and so we are talking with, Sophie,
Yes,
welcome.
thank you. I appreciate the invite.
I'm, Clayton Matt, chairman of the board. Let us give you a quick introduction, and then I'll let you introduce yourself. And then I think we'll have you start with, I think I got your message. So I think we wanted to start with just letting you give us a quick overview of your program, your services. And I think we may have a few questions, and then there may be some contract related questions that we have. But we're unless things change here in the next few minutes, I think we're headed toward trying to get this contract approved so we can get moving on some HR work. So
You got it.
anyway, so it's just a quick I assume you can see everybody here, but in any case, we'll just go quickly around. So Haley.
Sure. I'm Sophie, I spoke to earlier. I'm Haley Franson. I'm the board's legal counsel.
Hi.
Hi Sophie, I'm Rhonda Botten, I'm the finance director.
Excellent.
Dustin Walters, hydrologist.
George McLeod, board member.
Good, board member.
And Clayton Madigan.
Roger Noble, vice chair.
Ethan Mace, water engineer.
Amanda Barron's water resource specialist.
All right, Sophie, you're free to brief us up.
Wonderful. Will this let me share my screen the way my settings are up? Do you think? Maybe.
We'll ask our IT people.
Let me try. It says sharing is not turned on, and if not, that's totally fine. I can just spitball it as well. Sometimes visuals are nice. I have a little PowerPoint, but it's nothing too crazy. If it's difficult to let the share work, let me try it again.
Yeah, just give us 1 second. We're trying
Yeah,
to see
no
real
problem.
quickly. I think we can.
Yeah, and then you will go. Yeah. And then she should be. Okay, we think you can now.
Let's try it. Share screen 2. Beautiful. Okay, I think we are live. So awesome. Well, like I said, thank you so much for allowing me a little spots in your schedule. I saw your agenda. It is well packed. So I understand there's a lot of items to get through. So I won't take up too much of your time, but just wanted to give you just a brief overview of what Mountain HR does. I know I got to talk with Georgia quite a bit about the different services and such that Mountain HR offers, but just so that everyone else is also on the same page, we'll just go through this real briefly. So essentially what Mountain HR specializes in, so we do a lot of what I call fractional HR management work with different employers and organizations across this Northwestern region. We primarily are looking at taking HR as a whole and as much as possible off the plate of different business owners or organizations or boards like yourself, so that it's not another thing on your to-do list that you have to worry about. It also helps keep employment agencies compliant with lots of different moving pieces, like you probably already deal with quite a bit with these type of items and such. So how I like to break it down is into these 3 different sectors. So this little table, this little graphic that I made, gives a very broad overview of all the different areas the Mountain HR specializes in. So there are a couple of things that you won't see on this employee life cycle. That's going to be things such as like payroll processing. We like to leave that in the hands of your accountants and your bookkeepers. It just lives a lot better over in that area, in my opinion. So we like to keep payroll over on that side of things. The other thing that you won't see is going to be benefit administration. Again, this lives a lot better with your insurance brokers typically. So we like to let our insurance brokers do what they do best and manage your benefit plans. But everything else that you've probably either experienced yourself in HR or think about when you hear the words human resources lives in our employee cycle. So everything from the very beginning, so recruitment strategy and planning, all the way to the very end if we're looking at exit strategy for different employees. And of course, everything in between. So this is broken down into 3 sectors. We attract our top talent, we manage that talent, and then we retain that talent. And then it just flips over in a circle as we grow or different turnover with employees and such as well. Very natural with any sort of organization, but we help manage those items. So there's a lot here on this list, but every little arrow here kind of is a general descriptor of a lot of different actions that fall under these little items. And what I find a lot of the times when I'm meeting with employers and going through this is there are some things on here that may not even be on their radar, or maybe they just haven't had the time to consider it yet, especially when it comes to compliance factors. That's probably one of the bigger eye openers that I typically see with just managing different federal, state, and sometimes there's different local policies as well when it comes to compliance. So those are all items that we help manage for employers, keeping it off their plates and letting them focus on what they do best. So to break it down into more services or like projects, for example, this is not an all-inclusive list by any means, but this is a generalized list that really encompasses the major projects and service areas that we cover. The ones that you see that are highlighted and starred, those are our top 4 requests that we are getting from employers. And so those are the products that we typically specialize in. So we do a lot of recruitment. It's hard. It's very hard to retain and attract staff right now in all industries. It's across the board. So this is something that is very interesting to keep up on, but it is one of the things that most of my clients struggle with the most. So that is a place where we really like to lend a hand. Employee handbooks, that's another really big compliance factor that we like to make sure that employers have up to dates. They're including all of the different policies that they want to have for their specific organization or company, and that all of their employees have a very thorough understanding of what those look like. And then of course the other workplace and employment law compliance. So with managing different leaves of absence, for example, so working through FMLA, accommodations requests via ADA is another one that we work a lot with, all the way down to the little tiny things, which is just, do you have your labor law posters posted somewhere in your workplace, and are they actually current? There's a lot of these little things that can come into play that folks may not even realize exist, but they're very important when the right person or auditor comes knocking at your door. And then last but not least, conflict resolution. This is something that we really like to be that kind of act as that mediator when necessary, or helping to facilitate, whether it's a conflict between 2 employees or an employee and a manager or whatever that looks like. We want to be able to help navigate those different issues and make sure that everybody at the end of the day is at least satisfied with the end result in one way or another. Of course, we can't always get the exact result that we may be expecting going in, but at least trying to be the unbiased party and be able to see both sides of the situation and come to some sort of conclusion or agreement at the end of the day. That's our goal with conflict resolution. And so when we're operating with different clients, these are a few examples of folks that we actually work with currently. Real clients, just fictitious names. Confidentiality is really important in the HR world, but these are just different examples of the types of organizations or employers who work with us. So for example, a manufacturing company, they have between that 30 and 50 employee mark, and they contracted us to help initially with recruiting. Recruiting in that manufacturing field was very, very difficult, and it was very expensive as well to go through other types of employment agencies. They usually charge a fee, and we charge flat rates. So it's a little bit more of a transparent pricing, and it just worked out a little better for them. And then they brought us on to do their recurring services, which is our HR business partnership plans. So that is really that fractional HR management. We're working with the business on a regular basis, helping them navigate, any and all pieces that they want off of their plate relating to their HR. Another example of a fire department that we service, They have approximately 15-ish employees. Obviously a government agency, and they're in that emergency services industry. So there's a couple of nuances and unique factors that come with this specific client, but they were working through some internal transitions amongst their staff in different budgeting aspects. They had to work through some layoffs. So we helped them be able to navigate the best way to go about a layoff, and then also making sure that their employee handbook was up to date because it had been 10 plus years since it was last touched. So that was a really big win for this specific organization. And then they kept us on a recurring subscription just so that they can, it's called our hotline. So whenever they have any questions or anything weird comes across their desk, they just call us whenever they need. So that's how we work with another government agency in the local area. And then we also do a lot of individual projects. So we've actually worked with several companies with performing different employee handbooks, rewriting them completely when the acquisition took place so that they needed a totally new set of materials because their previous material was actually copyrighted by a different organization. So we're really focusing on making sure that when we provide something or a piece of work to a client that it's theirs, they get to keep it. We don't copyright things. That's not really our goal. We want to be helpful at the end of the day. And then we were also working with a different organization who was preparing for an audit. So there are different industries, different regulatory bodies, of course, that come into play where some of these employment pieces might be really important for them to have in place, have current and up to date, and just making sure that everybody is sound at the end of the day. So what do our services look like? So this is kind of what I went over with Georgia a little bit, and what we put together that service proposal for. So that HR business partnership, this is going to include, that's our fractional HR model, but this is going to have designated project hours towards our organization every month to make sure that we're hitting those top priorities. Plus, it's going to have the unlimited phone and email support for the management team for all those little tiny questions that come up, or for follow-up support as well. We also break that apart into two pieces. So we offer a hotline, so that's just the phone and email support. Or on the flip side of that coin is the one-time projects. So just distributing different materials, helping them with single hires and things among that nature is how we work with our clients. So that's kind of a very quick, broad overview of Mountain HR and how we operate. But I would really love to open it up to any questions that anybody has and be able to, fill in some of those gaps. I know Georgia has sent me a couple of items over email in the last week or so, and I don't know if everyone got a chance to review those, that piece of data, but yeah, would love to, hear any questions that you have and be able to help.
Yeah, Sophie, this is Clayton. So those items that were sent to you by email, I think I know what those are. So
Great.
why don't we just cover those, have you cover those real quickly for the board? Because I think it had to do with the fee structure and then one other item, but
Sure.
which I forget. So yeah, if you don't mind, let's cover those.
Absolutely. Yeah, let me pull back up that email specifically so I don't miss anything.
I think it was fee structure and travel.
Yes. So, no, it's not wanting to load. So what I do for travel, depending on the location, I'll set a flat rate, and it just includes some mileage and time. For traveling to Ronan, we just have a flat fee of $200 per round trip. So not trying to nickel and dime for every single little mile. It doesn't quite fully cover all of the time, but for a well-rounded trip and to be able to support you guys, that's something that I'm comfortable with, being able to just do that flat rate at 200.
So Sophie, that includes your travel time, mileage, and per diem?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
That's a good number.
I like to be reasonable. I mean, I'm born and raised here in the Flathead Valley. I'm up here in Kalispell, and being able to work with organizations that are rooted here is important to me. So it's more with my business model and how I work with folks. I want it to be flexible so that it suits your need, it suits our need as a business structure, but at the end of the day, you and your employees are supported, and that's what's, you know, important to us as far as our mission.
So the other one was the fee structure.
The fee structure, what's specifically about it? I think, I remember
Well, I
the
think-
question was if it included travel.
Well, I think, so let me just revisit that. So I think what we heard was $1,500 a month. The question was, what does that $1,500 do? Is it a flat rate, or is it like a retainer after you meet $1,500 worth of service, then what?
Sure. Great question. So it is kind of like, I like to refer to it almost as a subscription, if you will, because with retainers, they can act a little bit different, but what's that is, it's a certain tier within the HR business partnership program. So it gets you up to 15 hours of project work each month, plus the unlimited phone and email support. So for example, let's say that we are working on revamping your employee handbook, or working through like a policy change or some sort of project. If you call because somebody came to your desk with kind of a interesting question or something you weren't quite sure how to respond to, unless of course it turns into a, you know, investigative process or anything like that, that doesn't count towards your project hours. So you're not eating up a bunch of hours each month just because you pick up the phone or send off an email. We design it that way so that, especially when we're trying to really integrate with the organization with this type of model, we don't want folks being conservative about, oh, you know, should I call about this or should I email about this? It's going to use up some time and we really need this for a different project. That's not our goal. We want any of those tiny little questions to be able to be answered more immediately. That way you're not trying to either come up with an answer or do a bunch of research yourself when I just happen to know it off the top of my head because I deal with it on a regular basis. So that's kind of the benefit of this model, is you get both. You get that phone support, and then your project hours each month. Now we do design it so we don't roll over our hours month to month necessarily. So it's not like stacking up by the end of the year. It's like, okay, now we've got 80 hours worth of time, because that's really hard to time budget for us in our schedules. But we make sure whatever tier you decide to subscribe to is the amount of hours that we have designated to you in our calendars. So when we need it, we have it there. We're not over scheduling and not able to, you know, serve the clients that, you know, we agreed to serve. So that's what primarily what we use it for, is like our time budgeting, if you will.
So the $1,500 is a flat rate, or?
Correct. Yes, flat rate aside from any travel costs. So if, like what we just discussed earlier, if there was a required travel, that would just be added on to the invoice for that month. But other than that, all the remote work, you know, via phone and email, and then whatever project hours that we work on is included within that 1,500. Yes.
So if that includes 15 hours a month, what if we go over those 15 hours?
Yeah, so if you go over 15, those are just billed in additional at a rate of 100 per hour. So that's kind of what it equals out to, but it would just be added on to that month's invoice if you go over.
Other questions?
Is there an initial startup fee or recommendation for hours when you start with a company?
Yeah, so we do have a one-time initial fee that was included on the contract proposal, and that is because we are spending a little bit more of that time getting to know you, getting to know the background and such. So we're not, again, eating into all of those different project fees, just trying to get caught up to speed. So we do have the one-time fee, it's just included on the first invoice. But other than that, we will work on what I like to call as a roadmap. So we'll look at the different HR priorities that you have as an organization, and then map out, okay, what's number one? What are we tackling first and foremost? And then what is something that you want to get to this eventually, but it's not, we can do this in 3 months or so. That's how we will design that roadmap, just based on what you want to accomplish, but also we'll bring that HR experience as far as saying, hey, you're getting really close to, so for example, large employers, getting close to the end of the year, you've probably got open enrollment that you need to prepare for. What do you want this to look like? Are you trying to do any sort of changes to your benefits that you need to loop in your insurance broker for, or there are other types of benefits that aren't necessarily insurance related? So just as an arbitrary example, but there's some different things that kind of happen on a regular basis that we know about that we'll put on your radar or on your roadmap as well.
So I've got a couple more points, but go to other board members or staff. Any other questions?
What was the one-time initial fee?
I
Amount?
believe it was $5.99. What I'm trying to remember, I was trying to pull it up.
$5.99.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
So-
you're right, so we $5.99.
That's what it is.
So you mentioned something about 3 months, and just for clarification, I guess we weren't really sure how to interpret what we first heard. And I guess it gave us the impression that you work on 3-month contracts, or was there some magic behind the 3 months, or is there a time frame with your contracts that you propose? How is that to work?
Great question. So with these business partnerships, I typically like to ask employers and organizations to start with a 6-month commitment. It's not a 6-month contract necessarily, because per my contracts, I mean, either party can terminate with a 30-day notice. I don't like to lock people in. If I'm not the right fit for you, or vice versa, I don't want anyone to be, stuck with each other for 6 months like a lease. That's again, not my business model. That's why I say commitment, is because, for example, starting off with just 1 month. I mean, the first month we're just getting to know each other. We're just getting started, it can take a little while to really start to get the ramp up going and get to know the different pieces. Things are going to carry over from month to month as well, just as far as projects or processes and such that we're working on. So I like to ask if it's something that the organization is comfortable with, like, hey, let's do 6 months. We got you 15 hours a month on the calendar for the next 6 months. If it's going good for you, it's going good for us. Happy to continue that thereafter. So, but like I said, it's not like a contractual amount where we're like, yep, you owe us for 6 months, regardless if you use me or not. That's not, again, my goal. Just a 30-day notice is all we ask for.
Okay. Any other questions, board members? So we have your contract proposal, Roger.
What's your availability? I mean, how much of a backlog have you got, or how do we go about scheduling with you, I guess?
Yeah, great question. So right now I do, I have some time out of the office coming up. One of my cousins is getting married, so I will be out of town for a little bit. But I have schedule availability as soon as the 10th of September. So as far as like getting started and starting some of the implementation components of, let's have some conversations, let's get caught up to speed, let's start this roadmap design and figure out what we need to tackle first.
When's our next meeting?
The night.
Roger, is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have your contract proposal, and I think Haley has a couple of questions. I think what she'll do is email you.
Okay, great.
And get an answer to those. And then I think between now and the next meeting, we'll be prepared to make a decision. And our next meeting is on September 9th.
Okay.
So we'll be looking to, actually take some action by then, one way or the other.
Sure.
And, again, Haley will email you a couple questions, and with your response, she'll work through the final, contract with the board, and then we'll be ready to do something on the ninth.
Sure. Excellent. That sounds like a plan. Yeah, and that contract that I sent over was our preliminary draft. So there's a date component as far as when we would start that. So that's just the piece that I would need to edit. But other than that, it's pretty general and straightforward. As Haley, I don't know if you had the chance to review it yet or not, but I don't like to keep them super long, or like I said, it's not my business model to drown people in paperwork and, contracts and things like that. So it's like 2 pages, but yeah, more than happy to answer any other questions that come up. So you have
Okay.
my number, so feel free to give me a call, or obviously you can send me an email. That's super easy as well. But I sure appreciate everybody's time and your consideration with Mountain HR Consulting.
Yeah, we got, let me just go around here and make sure we got any more questions. Ethan?
I have a few questions. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Great presentation. My name's Ethan again. I had a couple of questions though, like this week I did 7 personnel documents. Everything from performance plans, promotion plans, probationary period, pay adjustments, leave audits, updated position descriptions. What kind of assistance do you provide for those kind of tangible activities?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of those items that you just listed is something that we are absolutely able to assist with. So for example, let's say you're going through your performance evaluation form or process, or just your procedure in general, and you want to change it up, or you don't like the way it flows, or you're getting complaints from employees that it's not clear enough, or whatever that looks like, we can either completely redesign it for you. So we can come back to the table and say, hey, here's what we think as far as HR best practices go. Check this out. Let me know what you love or what you hate about this. And then we can do some different edits, go back and forth, and come up with the final product for you to utilize and implement within your organization. So it's very similar with some of the other items like policies, different onboarding documents is pretty common as well for us. So yeah, we're more than happy to completely take it off your plate and give you a final draft and say, hey, what do you think of this? And then you could tell us your feedback and we'll move forward with whatever the next steps look like, depending on what that is.
Okay, so just to double check, so you kind of help with the template, or do you actually help with the specific implementation of those forms for individual employees?
We can do kind of a combination. So we'd start, of course, with the template, make sure that everything is the way you want it to be. But if you needed to submit that to the employee or administrate it to them, we can help facilitate that process as well. Just kind of depends on what your internal communication processes look like. Some employers, for example, I have a current client now who's quite large, and we're very much immersed with them, but they give us and this is more of a bigger extreme example, but we have like a email address that's within their organization. So we actually communicate back and forth with their staff through that email address. But for example, for this case, if you had a process, again, performance and evaluation, you're like, hey, it's your annual review time. If you give us the employee's contact information, we can send that out and say, hey, complete this, send it back to me, or let me know what you think, or whatever the process looks like. And we can review the information that's received back, see what it looks like, pass it on to the right appropriate person, whatever that needs to look like to make sure it's most successful for you and off of your plate as far as time burden and things like that.
Okay, thank you. I have another question, if you'll permit. Sorry to ask questions, but earlier discussions about HR firms were brought up as with an emphasis on employee benefit in terms of providing counseling if any employee had issues that they might need to talk with someone about, such as grief or problems with the marriage or whatever, the array of different personal problems that people used to normally come up about. Does your firm offer that type of service, counseling type service as part of your the collection of services that you offer?
Great question. At this time, we don't necessarily deal with items that aren't related to employment. So if they don't have something, they're like, I'm really struggling with my manager, they're really breathing down my neck, and being a resource to help facilitate those types of conversations. Outside of employment, we don't necessarily, we're not licensed counselors. That's more of a different type of professional, I believe, would be better suited for that. We're happy if somebody is really struggling at work and we're like, hey, we need to have a conversation with you, Joey, because you've been showing up late to work for the past 4 weeks in a row, and we just need help understanding what's going on. This is abnormal for you. Being able to approach it from that standpoint of like an employment issue is different from my dog just died. I really want to talk to someone about, my dog and things along those nature. That's going to be a different type of professional for sure.
Gotcha. Thank you for that answer. Now I've got another question for you. Sorry, there's only two more questions and I'll leave you to it.
You're doing great.
So you're coming to us remotely today. Some of our staff commute. Some of the other agencies that we work with, tribes in the state of Montana, have really integrated remote work options into their normal, workflow. Do you have experience in helping organizations assess, opportunities and integrations for remote work options?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So I was actually, when COVID happened, hate to use that word, but it still lives very much so in our society, and especially in my world, a lot of changes actually came from that whole experience, including remote work. So facilitating different types of remote work policies is something that we worked a lot with, different types of employment structures as well, which has been really interesting because it still is relatively new. Obviously, there's a little bit of remote work that absolutely existed prior to COVID, but it really became a very big movement, I would say, for different types of organizations, just depending on their structure and their service, and their products and such, right? So absolutely, that is, we're looking at different options that are going to work for the organization or the business to make sure things are still flowing appropriately. If we need to get creative with it, that's always kind of actually a fun project to work on in the HR world. Probably sounds a little nerdy, but being able to get creative with different policies is something that I know for me is exciting. So absolutely, that's something we've had to delve with for sure in our line of work very regularly, actually.
Thank you for that. Now I've got one last question for you, and you're really doing a good, thorough job answering these. So I haven't really hit you with some follow-ups or anything. So the last question is, our office, just on a kind of regular basis, we struggle with the workload problem. There's the amount of work that we have, it will continue to kind of far exceed, what we've got in terms of staffing. It's always a challenge on how to balance this workload for us. Have you got some experience in helping organizations that kind of have this issue where their staffing the workload arrangement might not be ideal, and how to help with the management of that and setting of expectations?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. How I typically, from an HR standpoint, how we approach a workload issue or complaint or what have you, is we're probably going to start initially at looking at either an organizational chart. So looking and saying, okay, what are all of our roles that we have here? Well, how are they stacked out? And then actually looking into each one specifically, which is going to be more of like the job description development, right? Looking at it and saying, okay, do we have job descriptions for 1, for 2, are they up to date? And for 3, are they actually reflective of the role and the expectations and the needs of each position that we have here within the organization? It actually, job descriptions, as kind of nuanced as they sound, play a really big role in a lot of different things. Everything from recruiting to performance management, all the way through, your exit strategies as well, and growth. So if we have a job description that's incredibly long, that supersedes, whatever they want that our commitments for that individual to look like, or whatever that means, it can help us determine, hey, do we need to look at potentially hiring somebody? Do we need to look at hiring somebody on a part-time basis? Or what does this need to look like? Are there different AI tools out there that can help streamline these processes a little better, take a workload off of someone's plate? Or a great example is this conversation right here. Is there something that can be outsourced to a different organization who specializes in it and can take it off that person's plate? So there's a couple of different ways that we can approach it, but that's typically how we start from an HR standpoint as well. Now, there's definitely some considerations from a operational standpoint that's going to live with whoever kind of oversees general operations of the organization, of course, because I can't make that decision on how we want the organization or the business to run necessarily. But after that decision is made, how each person plays a role in it is where we can really step in from an HR standpoint and just help provide some guidance or some different ideas. Sometimes having someone who's got that outside perspective or like a different type of experience can help, add some different creative juices into the plan. So that's how I think that hopefully that answers your question, but how we approach it as HR professionals is from that type of standpoint.
Thank you for giving me the floor for a number of questions. Appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for taking the time to answer those.
Thank you, Sophie. So just a thought, and I'll think about Haley here for a second too.
Okay.
As we prepare and we move towards September 9, and in the given the possibility that we would take action to approve a contract then, would it be reasonable to get you a copy of our personnel policies if we haven't already done that, to give you a head start on sort of what we have in place right now?
You could. I typically include that as part of my onboarding process. So a review of any of your internal policies and procedures, your employee handbooks, separate policies, any other, forms and such, kind of like what was mentioned earlier that are being utilized, just a review to see what your HR infrastructure looks like. Is part of that onboarding process. Absolutely. If you wanted to send it over, I can give it a quick, brief glance, if you will, but we'll really dive into it upon the onboarding process if that's what, if you were interested in moving forward with. But you can absolutely save it for that process, or if you wanted to send it early, you can. But it's kind of a little bit up to you. I will be out of the office starting on the 3rd through the 9th. So there is only a couple more work days, I suppose, left before I'll be gone, and in between the meetings. So
okay, so that wouldn't matter. So last question. So I looked at your website a little bit, and you're making the presentation, but it's unclear what kind of staff you have. And what your overall expertise is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am the principal consultant for my retainers. So these HR business partnership plans, I like to handhold, if you will, because it is my business. I am the founder, so it is my baby. So I like to make sure that I am integrating with the organizations on my expectations and my level of standards as well. I utilize other consultants for standalone projects or work overflow, if you will, as needed. So on a really part-time basis, they'll come in and assist here and there, but I am the principal consultant for these types of services. I've been in HR my entire professional career, worked with a very large variety of businesses just within my corporate career, from manufacturing to healthcare, actually working with the hospital system up here in Kalispell in the HR department, which was really interesting during COVID, and nurse negotiation meetings as well, mortgage banking, to more healthcare actually, and construction. So quite a different variety of different corporate experience. And then I started Mountain HR in 2022 because I wanted to really be able to service the smaller organizations who either don't have necessarily that bandwidth for a full-time HR manager, or it wasn't necessarily within their business model or structure to be able to support that. So again, you know, being born and raised here, my roots are here in Montana, and I know that Montana is built upon small businesses and organizations, and that is, you know, my history and my legacy in essence. So yeah, a little bit about, you know, me and how I started, but yeah, I've been doing this an awful long time. I'm SHRM certified, so by the Society for Human Resource Management. I actually serve on our local SHRM chapter board here in Kalispell as well. So that's a organization comprised of HR individuals from all sorts of walks of life, for the Flathead Valley specifically.
Right, all right, anything else?
Yeah, I have a couple questions.
Yeah,
I'm just curious,
Justin.
you know, you put up there a whole bunch of services that you offer, but you know, when you enter in this contract, are you going to work with us on targeted services, or is it just a general broad HR support?
Yeah, so I like to first and foremost start with your priorities. So for example, if you have something on your radar where you're like, we need to tackle this first and foremost because it's something that's fresh, it's something that's come up recently, or you know it's lingering in the future, or whatever that looks like, we're going to put that in that what I call the roadmap first. And then some of those other items that you saw on the presentation, we can weave those in if they're more like secondary priorities. For example, like if you haven't touched your performance evaluation process in years, and it, you know, it may need a little bit of outdating, but it's not on the forefront, we'll work that in a month or two, or, you know, after we get through some of those major top line priorities first. It's kind of a mix of between what you know you need, and also there's going to be things that will come up down the road that we can't even anticipate as well, right? So having the flexibility to work those in as they come across our plate is also kind of the beauty of this, is there's you can design it however you want. And then the opening spots, for example, we'll be able to fill in those other pieces with what we know are good HR practices and good things to have either up to date or current or whatever that needs to look like for you.
So what does it look like? You just come and chill with us for a while, and just hang out in the office and just see what's going on?
Totally,
Like,
they'll just come and just
like,
hang
give me the
out,
nuts
follow
and
you
bolts.
around.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious, like when we engage with, what's that first day you come in and engaging with us, like what do you do?
Yeah, so there's a little, again, like I said, flexibility with it. So we can, if a board meeting type of function is best, or if it's, you know, one-off meetings, or if you have a designated person on your board where you're like, okay, you get to go and talk with Sophie and fill her in on all the stuff. We'll have a conversation. I'll be able to ask some different questions, be able to download on all of the different items that either you have as a priority that's already identified, or maybe even just a inference. Like, it's like, I think this might be something that might come up in the future, put it on your radar type of a thing. And then the review of all your different materials. So like your employee handbooks, your policy and procedure manuals, any sort of forms that you're already utilizing in your current practices will also help fill in some of those gaps, so I can see what it looks like from an HR perspective in your organization first. And then we can do a review and say, okay, I think we should start here. Or based on what you said, this was really important to you, let's knock this out first. So it's a little bit of, with a board kind of design like this, we can meet with everybody, we can meet with a couple people, we can meet with one person. It's however you want to facilitate it.
Yeah, the board itself, I think we've talked off and on about the entire arrangement of HR issues we've had from the beginning, from
Sure.
the start of our, and I think we're at a point now where we need to round out some things to try to get all of our personnel policies finalized. And potentially some other personnel issues that we need to sort of talk through to make sure we're rounded out. So whether we have long-term needs or not, I think we have to have a place to start to continue to build this car as we're continuing to fly down the road. So
Yeah,
there are some
absolutely.
policy things we're certain that we're gonna have to deal with, but I think as we move through this, the board is interested in trying to establish that so that we can move forward.
You got it. Absolutely. And that's, what I'm here to help with. So as there's different questions or, like I said, those different priorities or concerns that you have, definitely feel free, we're here to help. So any sort of initial recommendations that you're looking for, if there's a specific situation that you're like, it needs like an answer tomorrow, give me a call and we can talk to that briefly as well. So yeah, just whatever is necessary, happy to help facilitate that and be able to help support you in the end. So.
All right, so we're gonna let you go.
Great.
Thank you for all your time.
Absolutely.
We will be in touch and I think Haley will be sending you a couple questions and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Wonderful. Like I said, reach out with anything and look forward to talking with you soon. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye. One of the other questions you might, just, I don't know if anybody else is curious. I don't want to tie up any more time today, but sounds like she's a one-person shop, and then for her projects, she reaches out to other consultants. It'd be interesting to get a feel for who she normally reaches out to. I mean, who else does she work with? Couldn't tell that from this presentation. So let's include that. If, something that kind of helps flesh that out a little bit, yeah. All right. All right, I didn't want to go longer, but we're gonna be here longer. It is 4:50 and we've got a little bit more to do, so what do you guys want to jump to?
I have a suggestion, if you would allow it, Mr. Chairman. I do have an item under the Office of the Water Engineer that I think is important.
Okay, well, there is something there under the Office of Water Engineer, that we want to start, that we want to continue probably for all future meetings, and that is to look at throughout the organization, the employee workflow. I think we were starting with Dustin, so that's something I know that the board members are interested in. So if you guys are ready for number 9, all right, number 9.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, I'm having to reshuffle because my stuff was all a bit, just out of order. But just a couple of, start offs is that, wanted to bring to your attention our water right report. And it's very good here. And there's not any real big surprises other than just our consistent articulation of a lot of traffic in the office, a lot getting done. We continue to do our best to report to you and to kind of demonstrate what sort of numbers we're seeing. And the calls are tending to get a little bit more complicated. But so far, I'd say we're holding pretty steady with the kind of receiving and phone call traffic that we would normally expect. See, phone calls are a big part of our business. Quite a bit more than the walk-ins typically, and, the day of the weeks are pretty clear. I think the monthly report that we have on this one is interesting. August has been a little lighter. We'll see what happens when September hits.
Yeah, summertime.
Yep. There's no water to fight over in August. Does anybody have any questions about things moving forward? Is that you still like these reports? Are they still worth more time?
What do you guys like? And George, Roger, you guys seen these? So I think it's these plus this table. So yeah, Roger.
We talked about earlier about doing some press releases and stuff, and I think following up on what Clayton mentioned as far as, getting the word out there. One of the comments I have had a couple things to say, yeah, you guys need to get something done as far as what you've accomplished, and like this table to me is a great one. You wanted, built your press release and added not the table, but just saying how many domestic developments we've processed.
Right.
And so I think you've got a good start here on getting that press release down. So that's my comment.
Great. Well, we'll get summaries from this, more tangible, like the numbers that we've helped and the folks we've seen in the office, and not as opposed to things collected, but we'll put that in the.
No, these collected, no, but I mean, the type of applications, now small subdivisions,
A high level summary with some numbers.
yeah. We'll soon have some permits and changes.
All right, well.
And George, we're good?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, with that, I was gonna give you a little bit of a wireless update. We are really closing in on some of the wireless stuff. We are having a little bit of a lag time right now. Our last kind of big batch of projects we're waiting from the DNRC to get approval for the contractors to move forward on those. But it's been a really noticeable shift. We are transitioning from developing the water rights database into using the water rights database. We spent a lot of time starting to develop some of our internal standards and practices and trying to get everybody trained up. Got some new folks coming in, trying to get the access to the database is still a challenge, but just wanting to report there's been some tremendous amount of work gone forward and into that, and we can now make changes to state-based water rights. We can make new versions of water rights. We'll have the historic use is in the testing right now, which Roger will need that for the changes and the changes in permits. And so once we get that moved along, we will actually be able to establish what a water right change parameters are gonna look like, how much volume can be changed, how much flow rate, what the timing is of those things. With that, I'll turn it over to Justin Walters for the employee spotlight.
So this is kind of new. So thank you for doing this. Board talked about this, and so want to do it. So I originally had asked for a couple maybe Dustin and Sydney was gonna be available. And I think you weren't gonna be ready, so I think maybe next meeting, maybe if Sydney's available, we can go to Sydney. And we kind of want to march through this. I mean, board members speak up, but this, I think that's what we talked about, kind of march through this every meeting and kind of go through and see, pick off a new individual and just keep moving through it.
And we understood that the exercise was to go over what am I working on this week in recent
Yeah,
days,
what
what's my
they're
day to
doing.
day?
And I think the board might have some questions, and then I think we can, give our own feedback in terms of how we think things are going. So Dustin, thank you for this.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, I wasn't 100% sure what the, intent was, so, knowing that, like, just I go over kind of what I've been working on most recently, I mean.
Yeah.
I haven't been here that long, but I had prepared to go over everything I've done, but I won't do that. And I do gotta say, I will have to leave early. I have to pick up a cost share from the farm in Missoula by 6:30, so I gotta go a little early.
Okay, well, let's get you done, then if you gotta go, you go.
So, yeah, well, I mean, one of the big things has been the virus, and I'm really close. I was on a call with the state folks this morning. Troubleshooting, I got a message from her this afternoon, and it should be fixed. I should be able to get in there now. So hopefully that's all good. And then, as far as that goes, I've been working with Amanda and Christie on processing the registrations. Now that I'll have wireless access, theoretically, I'll be able to actually go in and do that part of it too. And they have shown me kind of what they do in wireless, so. And we've also done a little bit with new claims too. I do have one new claim that I went over. And then I've been doing, constantly managing the GIS databases, helping Christie. Haven't really gotten to working with Amanda yet, but helping Christie when the map links kind of get corrupted or whatever. And then the other big thing that I've been working on most recently is just this. Ethan had tasked me and Steven with setting up doing a physical versus legal water availability assessment of the Jocko drainage. So spent a lot of time on the phone with James and reading over a lot of the background documents and then messaging back and forth with until at the state, kind of getting a little better idea of what kind of techniques have been done, if they're in process papers out there for doing that. Stephen and Bob have been kind of digging into that, and that's something that's going to consume a lot of time. So that's kind of where we've been. That looks like my main task going forward. So.
Okay, yeah, I got a couple questions. I'll jump in here. So the new claims,
Oh,
It was a new domestic allowance.
Yeah,
Okay,
new
so not a new.
not a claim.
yeah, sorry.
So, sorry, we just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah.
When you say claim, that means something here, right?
Understand.
But it's as a new
Domestic allowance.
domestic allowance, okay.
Did you take that from the start to the finish, or how much involvement did you have? Okay.
And then the legal and physical availability, what is that? What are we doing there? And I think maybe if Ethan's asked you to do that, there must be some reason behind it. So what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I guess I would turn it over to Ethan in terms of what the intent is. Talking to James yesterday, it sounds like there was one smaller drainage with a pond on it that he had to look at a couple years ago. And that seemed to have a more focused intention, and, he wanted us to do a practice smaller drainage first and know how to do it and then look at the whole Jocko. I think it was just training to just kind of, learn the process as far as I tell.
Because I think we talked a little bit about it. I think there could be some good stuff there, but we just board wants to understand what we're doing from your perspective.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in. So the assignment is to get familiar with the kind of the current state standards on how physical and legal availability are assessed and determined. And that is a lead in towards, looking at, you gotta be familiar with the most common way that's done in Montana to look at what policies are gonna go forward for this office. And so that's the primary run at this, the primary exercise, because we have a couple of folks here, a little newer to, that permitting side of water rights, and we need to get them real familiar with what it looks like over in a new permit or a situation where you identify that mitigation might be needed. How those calculations are run will ultimately, be something we need to contemplate. Which parts of those methods, will this board, be looking at to adopt as part of their permit and change water policies and procedures.
So legal and physical availability, so we can split that down onto groundwater or surface water. So are you having him look at all the existing claims, or what approach are you taking on this?
Present is surface water.
Surface water, so how are you, I mean, physical availability, it's my understanding that tribes have a pretty good handle on stream flow measurements, don't they, George, within the Jocko, from all their gauging. So what else are you gonna do on that? But are you gonna use that, or are you gonna supplement that, or what are you
Oh,
gonna
they
do?
use that, yeah, and then provide a report for the folks in that work group to have a look at, discuss
What group?
the permit and
Oh, okay.
change policy
Okay.
work group.
Yeah, I think that's good, because I think from a practical and policy standpoint, physical and legal availability will become something that it needs to be addressed with every new application, correct?
Everyone, it's gonna be the fundamental part. There's no way around, having to come up with methods that we're gonna use in this office to make those determinations. And a good way to start is to look at what has been done before, and then have a real world example, and then be able to discuss that. Talk about, what's good about it, what's bad about it, however the work group tends to flow.
Okay. I would think we want to have a bit of an ongoing discussion with the board, so the board is familiar with what we're doing there, because I could see it raising lots of questions. But anyway,
Yeah, I mean,
Would
I think just from a, I don't know, hopeful standpoint, are you guys going to need, or would you like case law or administrative decisions on physical and legal availability? Because as we know, those are not necessarily 100% policy based. Technical questions, they are case law questions, that have been defined by administrative bodies and courts. So I'm at your disposal, so just let me know if you need help with accessing those things.
Oh, and you're on the group, so we assume that would be integrated.
so.
Oh, sure, I just, going back to
Right.
what Dustin's needs are, and,
Yeah.
wanted to extend that because the access to case law, costs a lot of money, and I have free access to it, so.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
legal,
I think the intent is more for us to learn how the state does it, so my assumption is their methodology is taken out.
Yes, I mean, it's all based on their
I would think.
actions, basically.
so
Go ahead,
how-
Roger.
how are you evaluating legal availability? What approach are you doing?
We're gonna give you that whole rundown in the work group.
Well, I'm just asking now.
Right now, he's
What
just,
task are you, how are you doing it? How are you analyzing that?
I mean, we had a long discussion about it yesterday, and it's not simple. It's not, I mean, it's pretty complicated, so we took a little sample area where we had, various different types of water rights, we had irrigation rights, we had, some. The problem is like when you look at the water, right, it's kind of, there's a lot of apples and oranges in there, and you gotta try and like. Create a pair from it, I guess, because some of it has acreage in it, some of it has animal, use units, they have just different things in it, so. We were going through and looking at the irrigated ones, taking evapotranspiration, making a bunch of assumptions about. If they're irrigating, for during the growing season, how much of the water they're using versus how much we're losing for evapotranspiration, just looking at like the depletions from the system essentially. So those were the more complicated ones, but if they had a stock tank, then we were looking at animal use months and other things, so I'm not. Was that getting at what you're asking? I mean, when I literally was tasked with this, like.
Well, no, it's not getting at what I'm asking.
Okay, well.
What I'm asking is, how are you actually doing this? Are you going through and building a table?
Yeah.
That has the water right number, the volume, the flow rate, the priority date, all of that.
Yeah.
So,
Each water right type has to go through a conversion process to monthly.
Yeah.
And that's part of the art of, because in a physical and legal availability setting, you have to have time. And timing may be consistent for animal use, but it's, not consistent for irrigation. And hydro and stream flow, they're all a little different.
how much of that is actually FIP related?
So be much of it.
Yeah,
Yep.
so,
I know that what they got tasked with is a huge challenge.
yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what it's.
I've been there, and they try to give him a little cover, because he just.
Well,
He just got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the more, I mean, the bigger, I mean, that's one thing in trying to operate economics, is just the depletions or what we're taking out of the system, the other thing is just the in-stream flows. And especially something like the Jocko, there are multiple in-stream flows, so is it really feasible to look at the mouth? Because those aren't cumulative, you can't just.
What
have
if I come up there? I can't.
Oh, yes,
Sure, I can do it.
Okay, yep, no problem.
I mean, you can't just add that, it's not a cumulative from the headwaters to the mouth, so that's the other, it's like. Practically, I would think we'd find every in-stream flow and do an assessment from there up to see what's legal with those spots, almost, I don't know.
Every nick point, I mean, that's what you're figuring out right there is that's gonna be the challenge. Jocko is one of the hardest, because each one of those nick points, enforcement points, especially the ones at the irrigation project, main diversions, are struggle points where supply and demand do not always work hand in hand.
We're not trying to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us the information, Jeff, but it's gonna raise questions that I think really drive us toward, not trying to understand what that's gonna involve, but, sort of set the stage for this ongoing discussion about this in particular. It makes me think about how to do it in a way that creates sort of a baseline. Because, if we figure out legal and physical availability, whether it's a piece of the watershed or all of the Jocko, anything new comes in, you can go revert back to that baseline information and just sort of build from there. Because every new one is then going to add to the depletion on the hydrology side and add to the stacking of rights on the legal side. So, I think. Plus, looking at your other projects, database and GIS, as a hydrologist, you probably want to be doing more hydrology work. This is going to tie you in more to the hydrology than.
Yeah, no, and I mean, you asked me like, the nuts and bolts of it, I mean, literally just yesterday sat down with James, who had who put the old spreadsheet together. I just understood this monstrosity of a spreadsheet yesterday, and so I'm not articulating it that well, but I kind again, I know what we're gonna do, and get all the water rights and figure out how to convert that into monthly completions from the system.
Yeah, well, we got the water rights here and water availability, water flow here, especially we're talking surface water.
Yeah, it's just.
Then the complication's gonna become, how do we do this with groundwater?
Yeah,
Or do we do it? with
You may
groundwater?
not have to.
You don't do the same with groundwater. Unless you're gonna build a detailed groundwater model for every basin,
Yeah,
that ain't gonna happen. Yeah, okay. Any other questions? Anything else, Dustin, you wanna share with us? I think,
oh, no, I mean, so, we got into it there, I don't know, so that's. Yeah, just, engaging with the other partners, I have a meeting set up with the DNRC on Tuesday, I think, is it Tuesday? Yeah, next week. We're just gonna go in and meet everyone, Maya invited me down there, so. Yeah, just trying to do a little bit more of that too.
good, Roger? Anything else? Okay, well, appreciate it. Again, it's mostly for the board to understand, but as the board has questions, it's not, again, not to put you on the spot for our understanding, because as I have become too fond of saying, we're continuing to build this car as it's flying down the road, and this is part of it, building the policies that are gonna come out of this.
Mhm.
I think it's important we stay on top of it as you're building. So anyway,
I'll ask you to see if you could articulate one thing for the board, and because I think it'd be useful for them to understand when we get new employees, like the amount of stuff you had to sort of jump in and start to assimilate with this job is, it's a lot. So I just wondered if you had some thoughts about that, because you've just been right fresh in that spot where here's the compact, here's all this water law and change and permit process, here's the WPMPs, we've got domestic allowances coming in one door, we've got registrations coming in another door.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, but I don't feel like my head's spinning or anything, I don't know that it's too dissimilar. I mean, previous jobs I had, I worked all across the country and I'd have to go and learn a new forest plan right away, so that's very similar to like, and I have, I didn't focus on water rights, but I have done water rights, so it isn't like it's like completely foreign to me. More just like trying to dig into the databases and the data sets. It's the GIS was assigned to me, just going in there and just realizing like no one with any GIS experience has ever worked here before. That is a little daunting. It's like, okay, well, let's start this from scratch.
welcome to building the car as we're flying down the road, so thank you.
Yeah.
But again, also to open up, I guess, is just a bigger strategy for the board. We've tried staff meetings from periodically, but as we do this and engage each individual, over time, if, I know you'll have your technical discussions with Ethan and the staff, but if you have questions for the board, make sure that we're open to hearing your questions and concerns and are willing to give whatever direction we need to give as well. So appreciate it. Thank you.
I
Anything
got
else?
one more question, I
Yeah.
guess. So are there other areas of this business that you would like to work on or in, more in the permit style or more, to just have a broader type of work on the plate?
Well, I mean, I feel like I'm capable of doing a lot of it. I mean, just with the personnel policies, I don't see why I have enough experience. I can be doing that. I've done a lot of, I've led a lot of teams. I mean, I got a lot of leadership experience and supervisory experience. And I mean, it's not easy, like bringing together, an archaeologist and a firefighter and wildlife biologist and getting us all on the same page. That involves needing to be a team player at all times, and I'm accustomed to that, and I have that experience. And so, I mean, utilize me however you want, but I mean, it's hard for me to sit here and and have that experience and not use it sometimes, because I'm also at the point in my career where in my last position, the technical side stuff, I wasn't really as engaged with. I was more engaged in leadership. I was more engaged in supervision. So that's what you got in me, so.
Good to know.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I mean, he's gonna be working on permits if he knows it or not. But, and, a lot of what Dustin's gonna be is he's gonna have to end up being the, our primary on technical reviews for decision documents, because that is a essential feature that you have to have in a permit or change, is you have to have a technical review that goes in and deals with the physical and legal availability, and then couples it with mitigation plans and other things to assess the, those technical, portions, but, not to drag you away from it, back into the technical one, but.
Yeah, no, just for discussion's sake though, on the technical side, groundwater issues are coming. So are you, I mean, I'm assuming you'll be prepared for that, but groundwater issues are coming because we know that at least one, probably two groundwater management area plans are coming. Proposals are coming. So, yeah. And I don't know how much modeling they're gonna include in that, but from the hydrology standpoint, that's coming.
Yep.
So,
No, I look forward to that. Sure.
okay. Thank you. I see a 9.4. Do you have something there?
I do, I have, my pleasure to talk about 9.4, which is both, it's a little twofold, it's a pay adjustment and a promotion plan for Amanda Behrens. She has done an excellent job. She made it through her probationary period and has been diving in and helping our office with leadership in the WIRIS, the Water Rights Database role. She's also helped you with some stuff with your appeals process. She's helped me with the tail end of complaint hearing process. So what we have here is we have a couple of next steps for Amanda. Her job offer included $1 an hour boost when she got through a probationary period, and then additionally, we have $1.25 boost for becoming a designee, which is somebody in our office who makes actual concurrence or decision about certain water right types that we have going on. Primarily, she's tasked with reviewing other water resource specialists registrations and domestic allowances, and that can include development domestic allowances, and then signing off on them as the designee. And so we've got that included in the pay adjustment, and then we have big plans for her in terms of next steps on a promotion plan. Her promotion plan includes 3 major and significant and much needed promotion assigns. One designating her as the OE's water rights records manager. And we talked a little bit about records and storage of records and all of that. And that's gonna require somebody to take the helm and really serve up the documentation and the standards that we're all gonna apply for the records. And obviously I'll be working with her, but we do need somebody in charge of that. We have another position for her, the obvious, with the Office of the Engineer, Water Rights Information System Lead. So she'd be the one who's primarily responsible for training other staff members on how to use the database, how to get signed up for the database, and then helping guide all of us towards applying, good and consistent standards for how that database information is input and managed. And then we have a third item for her, which is also a much needed item,
which is the board and the office of the engineer hearings and appeals clerk. These three promotion assignments are set up to where they could be either incremental or concurrent. She has inside of this promotion plan, there is a pathway forward. Each one of these elements requires around 10 very specific task completions to make it through into the next step of the promotion plan. And so with that, I'm happy to answer some questions and also let you know that what I am seeking is a board consensus about the moving forward of these pay augmentations and promotion plans.
Questions?
Yeah, so mine is not complete. The promotion plan. Mine's only pages 1 and 3.
Mine isn't either.
Yeah, mine's same, I guess.
Well, that's unfortunate. I can print these out. That's what, we'll give me a second. I'm not sure how that happened.
It's 1 through 5 though, right? 5 pages?
Yeah, I had left. I'll open the signature block at the end.
Okay.
Let me just fix that real quick. Thanks, guys.
Yes, see you guys in there.
All right, have fun, travel safe.
Apologies about the delay there.
No, good. Well, I think your item number 4, I think we should probably plan on just packing that to the next agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
And after our present discussion, go through, look at item 11, take care of that, and then I think we're all good with the day. Item 4 and item 8, we can bring back.
That item 11 might take a while.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing those two, and I'm not comfortable.
Okay, so maybe just add them to the next, because this is to put them out for public comment, but if we're not ready to think about doing that, let's just
Yeah.
review them and prepare to take action to put them out the next meeting?
Number 11,
Hmm?
you're talking
Yeah.
about number 11? Yeah, I would like the time to review that.
Okay,
Is that the PTO stuff?
I have no idea.
I was, yeah, I mean. So yeah, maybe we can
just those three items will bring back.
postpone those three.
Yeah.
But make them the top three for next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
Well, that's got the complete,
1, 2,
there's a, I did it, the last page.
Three,
was just, signature,
4.
So I did
All
not,
right,
did not add that in.
all right, got it. Just as a side note, we'll get through this and then the three items we haven't touched, we'll just move those to the next agenda.
Yep, that's what I was,
All right.
figured would happen. I'm sorry to keep you here till the full 5:30.
Has Amanda read through this?
She has. She
And does
did
Amanda
not
agree?
print them though. I
And does
won't say
Amanda-
like I just wanted.
And does Amanda agree?
Yeah, I mean, I've already started working in these titles. Most of the tasks here are new tasks for me, but I mean, if they align with what I already do here in the OE office, so.
Super. Head nods?
Yes.
Good, I see head nods, head nods. Head nods all around, head nods in the positive direction. Not the negative direction.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, because there are legal implications in this.
Yes, please do.
So, it, as it pertains to the kind of clerk promotional role, would the attending the clerk training to be approved by the engineer, would that be on the employee's dime?
I had not anticipated that would be on the employee's time.
Okay, I just wanted to
And
clarify.
I'm learning, if I'm wrong about that, you'll correct me, but.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to clarify on that, because a lot of those trainings, are, not necessary. I mean, it's more so experience and practice, that those are guided in. So I just be curious to know, because some of the ones that are a little bit more complex, which are like paralegal trainings, are very expensive. And I don't know if that's the anticipated outcome is for Amanda to become a paralegal. So,
The anticipated outcome was that you would give us some suggested trainings. And
this is what I'm
just,
talking about.
and I just, for that part,
Yeah.
like, what we had, we put that in there specifically because I understood that you two had talked a little bit about, some trainings that you thought might be, where you needed help maybe. We are hoping that you're gonna help find us the correct training.
So that was my question.
Yeah.
Is if the anticipated trajectory is for Amanda to become more of like a paralegal, that is basically the only training that is out there for a clerk role.
Okay.
So that's why I wanted to gauge what the,
What the purpose and function is, so,
because
So
that
maybe
is
the lang-
very expensive territory.
so maybe the language is wrong.
Well, no, I just wanna understand, right, so that if you're talking about a clerk, I think the better option for that is not necessarily a guided training, but maybe conversations with like Jamie Price, right, who is like the hearings, essentially like the hearings unit, I mean, for the DNRC, right? And she's done a whole bunch of trainings on that kind of stuff where she's just talked with people, shown them what the ropes are. So if it's more so that, then I think that's more suitable and less money spent, better use of time. If it's actual paralegal work, then sure, go down that hole, right, of going through the whole training, putting in the hours, putting in the money. But that's what I'm trying to gauge, is what that.
What
understanding
was
is.
intended?
Correct.
So what do you think is intended?
Well, so I'm thinking about it now more for the first time in terms of the paralegal component. I had originally thought that there would be something in between, that would be some kind of an organized, you know, class or something where you can just sort of go attend and learn from somebody like Jamie Price. I did not really quite realize that that's not necessarily available. Also, just curious, what is paralegal, like, what is expensively?
I would have to talk with our paralegals at our firm.
Okay,
I could get that information.
yeah,
Well, I think it's a good question, but it raised a question then in my mind, you know, now that you've asked, is creating a paralegal necessary for that position?
Yeah.
I'm,
I kinda, you know. Haley, you bring up Jamie Price. I mean, that lady does such a great job.
Yeah.
And if Amanda could just go to her classes or meet with her or something like that, that
yeah,
would be adequate. I mean, if you go to a paralegal, that's a whole nother level of
yeah, well, that's kind of where
responsibilities
I'm
and
at. Yeah.
jurisdiction and everything
Yeah.
else, so.
I mean, I think even if we take it stepwise, start with that training with Jamie Price, I don't know who that is.
Mhm.
And then later we want to talk about. And if, I would say if, between Ethan and Haley, if you recommend we go to the paralegal step, then later we do that, but it's not my thought that I don't know that we need a paralegal, but that training that you're talking about from Price would, you know, let's start there. Just-
well, and something like that is more where I was at in terms of this particular promotion plan, so, I just, you know, that,
Well, good question. I think that's
Yeah.
good to have that recommendation, so thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, the other question I had, was, you know, what's the scope of the legal research? That would be done, I think I mentioned this before, a lot of legal search engines are paid subscriptions, and they're very costly, I have it for free. So, just curious,
this scope would be, pretty firmly limited to what's available in water right records database. And if went beyond that, then the scope would involve us probably asking you for information and then having Amanda help me assimilate the information. Does that make sense? Does
Yeah.
that seem
I think that's fine.
reasonable?
Yeah.
No,
that's
we're not
totally
thinking
fine.
we're gonna run out and get her, access to any of the expensive law. programs.
No, but given those questions and answers, I'm wondering if it wouldn't be prudent to, even if it's parenthetical, to put that information right in the document on both of those points.
We'd consider it done. We can
So
absolutely.
that way it's more specific rather than general, raise those
Yep.
questions. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, no, that's helpful for me, right, cause I get it's probably more of like that technical side of it, right, like, let's find this, opinion maybe and, you know, get it over to Ethan, I've already, right, like, Amanda's already read through it, maybe she can,
Highlight.
summary some things for you. As long as it's not holding out to be a legal opinion or legal advice to you, I'm comfortable with it. If it is legal interpretation or legal advice, I'm not comfortable with it. So that's the only thing that I want to raise.
We'll just spec
Again.
that out.
Well, again, maybe the language is wrong.
Those are the only two things that caught my eye, in that piece, but I will say that Amanda's been incredibly helpful when it has come to getting out like the appeal notices for me. And then just communicating with the parties, so that I can remain a neutral party to the board. So that's been very helpful.
Super, thank you.
And as we go through, you know, help us be constructive to get her, you know, on board with additional things that will help her have board in that, and you in that fashion, because this is a group promotion plan, frankly. I mean, we're in it together because she's gonna have to serve this role for both of us. In some ways, will have to rely on her a little bit more, you know, frankly, because, you know, just where we're at hearings with the OE, you know, it's gonna be she and I sorting it out, so,
All right, very, very good. Thank you. With that discussion and those recommended changes, head nod still? Yes, yes,
No,
no?
no, yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You said my head now.
no, yes.
Midwest response, just so you know.
Okay, I see a head nod. Yes, Roger? Yeah, okay, all right. You got it. All right,
Excellent, thank you, and thank you, Amanda, I really, I hope that we didn't detract any from the bad credit or, these tough questions, but, the reality is that you've done an excellent, bit of work here in your first 6 months and earned every bit of these, additional opportunities, and thank you very much.
so with that, we will postpone 4, 8, and 11 off to the next agenda, if the board is good with that.
Yes.
All right, so we're down to board field trip, September 8, 10 to 2. And then board meetings, so let's make sure we're good on board meetings. So so the recommendation is we don't meet on the 9th, or
Well,
where are we at?
yeah, we'll leave things at the 9th because we didn't get I had a recommendation to move the board meeting that contemplated getting through the whole agenda. I need to retract that recommendation that's on the agenda now, and we should just stick with the 9th.
So Ethan, is this number 11, is that the PTO stuff? Or what is that?
No, that's, you guys, yes, it's the PTO stuff. That is the, shifting to having a balance of maximum amount of hours and changing that from 2 years worth of approvals. And I threw a draft together so you'd have something to work off of.
Okay.
You know, and I'm still hopeful that we will just get a complete personnel policy and work on other stuff.
Okay. Yes, we'll give it a review for next time.
Okay, so the 9th, are we good on the 9th?
Good.
Yes.
9th?
Yeah.
And we can't speak for Georgia, but does anybody know if Georgia's available on the 9th?
I don't know.
I think she said she was, because the 11th was her like, big day at the school, so. I think she said the 9th was for her.
All right, you want to set any other dates in September, or just stick with the 9th for now?
Stick with it.
All right, next meeting the 9th, so the 8th and 9th. Coming up, very good. Field trip and meeting, all right. Anything else? Anything else? Roger, anything else? Motion to adjourn? Motion by Ken, second by George, all in favor, say aye. All right, we're done. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, those are the questions.